So I remember Tony was kind of at the head of the stretcher. I was standing on the side. There was a woman next to me, and Tony said to me, "Can you try to figure out what happened?" And he kind of motioned to this woman that was next to me. She seemed very upset. Very upset.
What made you say that?
Just her facial expressions. She was just visibly distraught. She answered who the patient was, his birthday. I think she answered the maybe some of those initial medical questions that I asked. But as I said, she's very distraught. She was kind of moving around the scene a little bit. So I was just kind of following her, and then we came to a stop at one point, and I continued to ask one more question.
What was that one more question?
So at that point, I asked her if there had been any significant trauma that happened before this.
What, if anything, did she say?
So she said, "I hit him." She repeated it. There was a woman standing across from her who I believe at that point said, "You're hysterical. You need to calm down. You're hysterical." She repeated, "I hit him." And there was a police officer who was in that vicinity kind of with us who replied, "You what?" She repeated it one more time. And that officer then signaled to somebody, "Get Goody down here," which I'm assuming would be the sergeant.
You are listening to the Roberta Glass True Crime Report, putting the true back in true crime. From New York City, Roberta Glass is now on the record.
Okay, how is everybody? Boy, do I have a good show for you. Grant Smith Ellis, journalist, has been in the courtroom, one of 10 people reporting on the Karen Read trial. If you're not following him on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, you're really missing out. He is doing true crime reporting the way I think it should be done, with heavy emphasis on facts, emotion. He's got it all. He's capturing everything that's going on in the courtroom, everything that the mainstream media is either too afraid to mention, too shy to mention. And welcome, Grant Smith Ellis. What did you think? I played a little bit of the paramedic today. I mean, the theme of what we're talking about today is Karen Read, how she really has convicted herself, as I predicted, with her own words. I mean, how many of these paramedics, EMTs, police officers can be lying? They all seem to have heard. How many witnesses do they have who heard her say some variation of, "I hit him, it's all my fault. Is he alive? He's dead. I hit him, I hit him, I hit him." And taking the blame. I mean, how many before this conspiracy theorists, the Karen Read supporters, are going to get it through their head that this is not a massive giant conspiracy because everyone hates Karen Read?
Oh, I don't think it was ever. Well, I think there might have been a conspiracy involving Karen Read, her brother, and her father, but we can come back to that later. I was in the courtroom today, and today was I didn't know it was going to be that. I think, just to back people up, anyone who follows these kind of trials will know that a lot of this evidence is subject to pretrial motions in the lead up to the trial. The trial's a managed stage production. So a lot of this evidence I knew because it was in the moving papers, long moving papers, but in the papers nonetheless. Karen Reed saying she hit John, multiple first responders, EMTs, police officers hearing it. And we've now heard 3 or 4 of the initial first responders who, again, have no connection to any of these wild and crazy defense theories, bar like one person who knows one person. But even then, it's like 5 or 6 different people in a row just responding to someone who's on the lawn, a call of someone on the lawn during a snowstorm, a blizzard. A few interesting things to note. One, none of the EMTs, even from like 10 feet away, could make out John's body. One of them saw the shape of a body using like the ambulance and the lights and pulling right up to the body from 10 or 12 feet away. And Karen Reed saw the body apparently before the tree line when she was pulling up with Jen McCabe and Carrie Roberts. That thus makes no sense. And Lally is clearly building up to show the jury that there's also evidence that's going to come in that Karen went back to Fairview Road and saw the body before going to get Jen and Carrie, which explains Karen's erratic behavior on the trip to Fairview Road, and then not only seeing the body before she got past the tree line, but also her behavior at the scene. Right now, we're almost hearing about it in reverse order. I think I see what Lally's doing. So what he's doing is he's building up for the jury this very clear and convincing, beyond a reasonable doubt, evidence that Karen was standing at the scene screaming, I hit him, oh my God, I hit him. This is my fault. I did it, etc. All of this stuff. And then Lally's going to, I think, take us back and then start us at the waterfall and take us through the events that led to this woman screaming on the lawn. The reason why is that's the only way you can understand what the first responders were encountering, because obviously they very quickly realized, and this was another thing that came up today that was just explosive and a huge tactical error by Alan Jackson. The first responders knew she was the person that probably did it almost right away. One of the EMTs, I think it was Flamati, the first person who started testimony today, testified on cross because Alan Jackson is apparently an idiot and asked this EMT a question that allowed the EMT to say, hey, I was at the hospital, by the way, and I was talking to the doctors and the nurses, and I told them that Karen said she hit him, and I thought that meant that Karen hit John with her car. And I was like, oh my God, that was caught in cross. And then Alan Jackson was like, oh my God, why did you not put that in your report? And the EMT, Alan Jackson, and this guy was very, he understood what he was saying too. He just explained complex medical procedures and intubation and how to do an IV for someone who has cardiac arrest. Now you have to do it into the bone marrow. So the jury thinks this guy is really credible. And then he's like, oh yeah, so my report ends when I drop the body off at the hospital. And Alan Jackson can't keep it together. He honestly can't keep it together. And then he's like, okay, wait, so why have you never told anyone this before? And the guy's like, because no one ever asked me. And then Alan Jackson just stopped the cross. And I was like, oh my God, that was the worst thing. That was just the worst moment, tactical moment in the history of a defense cross. I couldn't really process it until right now. I didn't really have time to think about it.
I was looking at your Twitter. It was like I was saying, it's like a death march from the courtroom. I was like, what happened in court? It was a bad day, but it was let's take a look at that together, shall we? Let me see if I can pull that up. Hold on one second. This may take me a hot minute to pull up your Twitter, but you have a great video of them walking out of the courtroom, and gone is the winking, gone is the the kind of, they just used to walk in like they were walk in and out of the court like they were rock stars. And today it was like they were in a funeral procession. Okay, hold on one second, guys. You guys got to see this. This is something. This is Grant Smith Ellis. If you're just tuning in, this is his Twitter or his X. And this is a video he took. You can hear his voice in the background. Oh my gosh. So, I mean, just check out, compare this to the attitude beforehand. And I want to thank Mera Hardy. Hi, Roberta. Thanks for covering. You're welcome, Mera. Tom is a creep. Grant, is Turtle Boy going to catch another witness intimidation charge for his run in today with Tristan Morris? Okay. I guess you could answer that.
You're gonna have that for the first time. I'm going to say today was so intense in court. I have no idea what you're even talking about. So we're gonna have to get more context. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Me too. But thank you. Okay. Check out this walk.
Karen, why'd you say you did it at the scene?
Grant.
Thought we agreed, Chrissy.
Who's this Chrissy woman?
Oh, that's Chrissy Mellow. So one time she tickled me during a press conference. That was a little weird. One time she like stuck a sign in my face. And I'm amicable. I think we've talked about this. I'm amicable with everyone there. You can see they're all perfectly fine because they understand that like I'm going to do my thing, and as long as they're nice to me, I'm going to be nice, and ask polite questions. But even that question today, which Chrissy knew was coming, she still was like, "Oh dear God, Grant."
That was a great question. They always just ignore you, though. And why do you keep asking questions if you know there? Is it if you are you hopeful? Why are you asking questions knowing they're not going to answer them?
Because I can read their souls and they don't have to speak for me to understand their reaction to my question. And then I use that to understand what's going on. I hermeneutically construct what's going on in their brain from their body language and like eye contact, especially if they give me their eyes. They know not to do that, though.
I always feel like you're asking the questions the press should be asking. I always feel like it's not just for them, but it's also for the press corps that's too cowardly to ask these kind of questions.
It's more to show the press corps. It's more to show the press.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's more to show the press corps that if they just ask the right questions, they'll go down the right path. So yeah, I'm doing it. I'm doing it for like 6 different audiences simultaneously, which makes it very hard to ask a good question. But I think I've like mastered the art form.
Yeah, definitely.
About that.
We agreed on factual questions only.
Okay.
That's what our agreement was. Stop going nonsense. And that's it. Agreement's done.
Hey, that's the testimony we heard today.
Are you sure the court is hearing? Well, they're going to. No, I'm not sure they're hearing right now.
What do you want?
I mean, just the vibe is that their dog died. They're just so. This is not a good day in court. This is not saying that they're going to lose the trial necessarily. Everyone has bad days in court, but this is what it looks like when a team has a bad day in court. This is the vibe. Would you agree, Grant?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pay attention to tomorrow when they go to the address.
Well, you'll see tomorrow. I guess you want to.
What do you want them to pay special attention to?
The entire city.
Great job today, guys.
She seemed a little frustrated by Firefighter Flamati's testimony.
Oh, no, I think he's what did she say?
You seemed a little frustrated with firefighter Flamati's testimony. That's the testimony we just talked about. And he's like, oh, no. So he's denying it. There's Alan Jackson just denying it, that it wasn't the massive, massive fail that Grant just described.
What did she say at the scene?
Well, we'll have to see as testimony goes on.
Hold on, can you pause that?
Sure.
That was the first time anyone ever answered any of my questions. Yannetti, I don't think realized it was me. So he just started answering when I said, what is she going to say at the scene? And then he realized it was me. It was like, oh, God damn it.
I didn't know he was answering your question.
Yep.
Testimony today. And I think the videos are the best evidence. So the line.
So do you agree with him? Do you think that the videos are the best evidence?
No, it's horrible because the jury very clearly understands that this like videos they keep showing capture the full content. Like Karen interacted with like 5 people, and we have like this video where you can hear Karen yelling like one thing. And I think the jury's like, okay, where's like the other 20 minutes, you know? So it's not really working the way the defense, I think wanted it to. So I don't know why they thought that was going to work. Plus it's completely like out of sequence, and the defense was playing. Anyway, we can talk more about that. They didn't do a very good job presenting their video clip today. Let's put it that way.
Also, it just shows the conditions being so, I mean, here's Yannetti says it was like just light flurries in the morning there, and clearly it's a blizzard with zero visibility conditions, and that's very clear in the video. That's what I'm getting from the video, is the conditions are so bad.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't just the flurries thing, it was also the dog thing. I think the jury thinks David Yannetti's a crazy man, and I don't really know how to deal with this vibe, because I'm like, he's a very serious lawyer. You lost it in like 10 minutes, DY. How did you lose them so quickly?
Yeah, that's how I feel about David Yannetti. Like, clearly he's very bright, probably excellent lawyer, and I can show you some of his cases. But what he's really good at, if you look at his cases, and he keeps them updated, is getting cases thrown out before they ever go to trial. So that was the strategy here.
I heard I'm not going to comment on somebody's motive.
Why did you say your client had no criminal intent?
This is an important day tomorrow.
What do you want to see?
Well, I think they'll need to get out there themselves and eyeball the property and see how close everything is to everything else. And I think it's going to really assist them, and I'm glad that the judge allowed the view. Okay.
He says, I'm glad the judge allowed the view. Is that something the defense asked for?
No, the defense asked for a view of the bar. They didn't get it. The defense asked for, Karen Reed to come on the view. They didn't get it. I think Yannetti was just like, well, at least we're going on the, yeah, that was bad. That was bad. And there's a little bit more if you let it run to the end. But yeah, no, the defense was party to the request to the view, but they lost most of their requests. Like Karen Reed's not coming on the view, and they wanted that. So
yeah, that I saw, because I saw that you put up the I don't know what the letter from the judge about it on your.
Oh, it's in order. So I don't know.
Wait till they get in the car. Look at the way they get in the car too. I would love to have been a fly on the wall in that car. Hold on.
No criminal intent, Mr. Yannetti?
Yeah. They can't. Yeah, not a good day for them. Not a good day but they haven't shared their side of the story yet. This is a time when, I don't know, but I think that they really, what I was expecting is these really aggressive crosses, because that's what Alan Jackson is known for, are these really aggressive crosses. And it works when there's one or two really important witnesses that you have to discredit. But when you have to discredit every single witness, every single person is terrible at their job, every single person is lying, it starts to look a little weird, no?
Well, yeah, and it didn't. Not only, it might have worked if he had some tactical strategy or the facts or the law on his side or morality on his side, but instead he's just kind of out there flailing around in it's literally so this case has become like a reflection of like a very bad love child between Turtle Boy and Karen Reed. And they're if you really understand their personalities, and I'm not saying I have spoken to them and could actually analyze them, but if you understand their pathologies, it's become this situation where they just defecate on the floor and then strut around in it as if they've done something worth being proud of. And their lawyers are now forced into this very bad situation, in particular, Alan Jackson and David Yannetti. And Alan Jackson today, that wasn't a cross of Flamati. That was Flamati using Alan Jackson's cross as an opportunity to do a direct testify. I've never seen a witness be better at testimony than a lawyer was at their cross. Like, I've never seen a lawyer ask a question that was so damning to his client on cross that the witness was like, oh, thanks for giving me this opportunity. Like, literally, the witness was like, did you really just give me the chance to do this? Okay, well, I can testify to this. And then the witness knew enough to say, oh, by the way, this wasn't in my report because my report ended when I dropped the body off, but I can testify to this because this is what I said to the doc. Oh my, those words came out of his mouth. And I have some sense of how intelligent a person needs to be on the stand and play chess with a lawyer like that. That wasn't just playing chess. That was eviscerating Alan Jackson's like sense of self. It was horrifying.
Yeah, you are also a law student. You're not a lawyer yourself.
Correct.
My understanding is that they teach you in law school to only ask questions of which you know the answer to. So wouldn't that be Alan Jackson? Just, I mean, isn't that a major rule in law school about cross examinations to not ask a question of which you might get some kind of surprise answer like that?
Yeah, I can't, now that I'm actually thinking back, because I remember the exchange verbatim. It was, I cannot believe Alan Jackson said the question. Why you do not say an open-ended question on cross? I don't care how excited you get. You do not say the question, why did you not tell anyone about this until now? That is crazy. That allows the witness to do exactly what the witness did, which was like, oh, because no one ever asked me about it until now. Oh my God. The vibe in that courtroom at that moment, it was like Alan Jackson's soul had left his body. It was like he had been disemboweled by this witness. And the jury was like, wow, that was really impressive. And they're just, because the jury already had given this witness a lot of credibility. That's the problem. The defense's whole strategy is about attacking credibility. And since they just didn't do it. When it came time for like the moment, it was like this witness who the jury was already like, wow, this guy's really smart. And he knows about this injecting stuff into bones. And what a smart guy. And then all of a sudden, oh, and I was at the hospital and I told the doctors that she said she hit him. And I thought it was because she hit him with her car. Oh my God. The jury was like, oh, she hit him with her car. I was like, oh my God.
So Lally is getting a lot of criticism for not making objections, especially Jennifer Koffendorfer had a very specific criticism of Lally when Jackson was showing the video and saying, I think they call them spirit boxes, like ghost boxes when people try to talk to the dead. And then it like makes these rumbling noises. That's what that video seemed like to me, that Alan Jackson was trying to show that witness and say, that police officer witness and say, this is yesterday. Did you see yesterday? I know yesterday. Were you?
Okay. I was like, wait, was that the video today? Because I was like,
no.
I'm
just going back.
Today.
I'm going back in time.
Okay. So I'd have to rewatch. The video because I'm not saying the defense isn't doing some weird stuff and they may have tried that. I just didn't catch that clip.
Didn't you hear that she said, I left him and I came back, and nobody heard it? I didn't hear it. The witness didn't hear it. And Jennifer Koffendorfer was saying there may be a juror or two who's going to think that that's what that witness testified, that he heard that, even though he said he couldn't hear anything.
Oh, there was
because
an instruction
Alan Jackson
today.
was like testifying. And then today we're going to look at it. Maybe we can look at it together. There was an instruction. So what I think Lally is doing is not objecting so much. He has a very polite air, not objecting so much at the time, but objecting in private and then we get sort of jury instructions like this. So let's take a look at the jury instruction at the beginning of the day from the judge.
Jurors, from time to time, I will give you instructions or talk to you for a few minutes about how you evaluate evidence. So I just want to take a couple of minutes today. It's part of my job, where my job is to teach the jury about the law. So in considering the testimony of any witness, Please remember that questions are not evidence. Only the answers, which are in fact the only part of the exchange between the lawyer and the witness that are given under oath, are evidence. So, if a witness is asked, isn't it true that after you learn that your uncle left you money in his will, you poisoned him? And the witness answers no, based solely on that question and that answer, there's no evidence that the witness has an uncle, that the uncle had a will, that the uncle left the witness money, that the witness knew that he did, or that the witness poisoned him. So going forward, I want you to consider the evidence in that regard. Also, there were videos shown to you, and I expect that throughout the course of this trial, there'll be many more videos shown to you. These videos are evidence, and there's audio on these. So what the video shows is for you folks to decide. Not me, not any of the lawyers. What an audio recording says is for you to decide. Not me, not any of the lawyers, because you find the facts. That's your job. We all have different jobs, but finding the facts in the case is your job.
So what was the feeling in the courtroom when that was said? And did you think that was an important instruction? And do you think the jury got it?
Yeah, I think so. Now that I understand what happened, I think the vibe has been and is now that Adam, Lally, and the judge are the adults in the room. I don't think it not on a forgetting about sides. I just think that what you were saying was correct. People are misreading what Adam Lally is doing in that courtroom because they're watching it on TV and they don't understand the subtle dynamics. I think we talked about this the other day between the jury, who is analyzing this sort of unspoken gravitas that the parties are sort of trying to demonstrate. And part of what that instruction almost was an indication that, you know, what Jackson and Yannetti have been doing are really kind of pushing the boundaries. But the jury, it's almost like Lally, going back to Miss Coffindaffer's insight. Lally he did object a little bit today, but he is tactically letting the jury understand that the defense is flailing around. And I think the best way for him to do that is to just let them go up there and do stupid things. And as a testament to the efficacy of Adam Lally's tactical game plan here, in my opinion, Alan Jackson got up there today and said to a witness in an open-ended question on cross, a question that ruined Karen Reed's day. So I think I think he let the defense walk out on a line and fall off.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, and what was Karen, and has Karen Reed's demeanor changed? Someone in the comments just mentioned that she hasn't shed a tear when any of the videos being played. What is her demeanor in the courtroom like? Are you muted?
Oh yeah, I'm muted.
Did we lose
so
you?
I'm here. Let me see. So I have a picture. Let me see if I can send you the link. I described it as Karen has bags under her eyes. She looks devastated. I've never seen her like this. No smile, no confidence, no swagger, just pure fear. And that was at 9:03 a.m. And then I saw a picture of her, and I have it here. I'll try to send it to you. That picture of her is of her eyes. And I've been within a foot of this person multiple times, a lot, like over these months. I know what she's like when she's like radiant. I know what she's like when she's having like a depressed affect, but covering it up. And I've never seen this. And I realized it's trial, but even the other days of trial, she was like, you know, she was doing her PR thing, something like she knows the jury believes these first responders. She knows it's already over. I'm pretty sure like 2 days ago, and coupled with all the Turtle Boy crazy stuff, she was like, yeah, okay, like it's over. That's like my read of it, is like she is resigned to her fate, and now she's just like, oh God. Like the weight of it, it's not like on her shoulders. It is it is literally enveloping every pore of her body. You can see it.
Yeah, those are some pretty big bags. What? Oh, I'm going to sneeze. No, I think it's okay. I think it's under control now. So what, and do you think, so you think that she feels that she's going to lose? She's just resigned? You don't think she's waiting for the defense to make some, usually they're in la la land and think that she's just going to wait till the defense has their time and they're going to make some great points and, no,
I don't think she's in No, I don't think she's in La La Land. I think she's in. I'm tactically cornered, outplayed, completely alone, and I've been abandoned by every single person who I brought along on this ridiculous and wild ride. She has her defense team, but it's just so honestly, I'm being very I don't feel sympathy for this woman because what she did to the victims was horrible, and her it became like a game to her, and it was not okay. But it's just sad. I don't go there and take any pleasure in watching this happen to her. It is really, really messed up to see it. She'll never admit it, I don't think, because she's too prideful. But there's nothing there. She's a shell of a human being who's got no defenses left, and she's just I don't know. It's just sad. What can I say? It's just sad.
This may sound like an obvious question, but what happened to what do you think happened to Karen Read from the Karen Read? Is this just alcohol from the Karen Read? I did it. I'm to blame, to the Karen Read that's accusing everyone else, that's approving of a defense strategy of harassing the victim's family. A family that really embraced her as one of their own and loved her. She was so happy to have them be villainized and hunted and stalked and really harassed. I mean, what happened from the Karen Read of I did this, I hit him, to the Karen Read, this is a conspiracy and everyone else is to blame? Is it just alcohol?
No. God, no. So I think the timeline's very important. I think Karen Read was okay with this being an accident. And this is just my opinion. I think Karen Read was okay with this being an accident. That's why Yannetti was out there no criminal intent, way back in the beginning, etc. I think what changed everything was the indictment on second-degree malice murder. And if you look at the timeline of her, when the indictment happened, and then when she went into Levy's office, and then when she met up with Turtle Boy, it all spiraled from the indictment. And if what I'm hearing is true, that she had a break, a psychotic break from that indictment, then that's the answer. She thought everyone was just going to be okay, Karen, it was an accident, and maybe even not go forward with manslaughter or a low plea. I don't think she saw the indictment coming. It's a grand jury. I think she just got blindsided by the malice second-degree murder indictment, and then was oh my God, she knows the facts. She knows the record, what all these people were going to testify to, and so she was oh my God, my only chance is to get ahead of this. And I just think it got out of control. And that's what my read of her vibe is. She, even some of her supporters, I know their vibe is yeah, this all got way out of control. And she paid for it with her support. She's going to pay for it with her freedom. But it's weird that it happened. I listen, I'm not surprised that it happened this quickly. I was the one who was telling people read the moving papers. Like, for the love of God, please, this is a managed stage production, a trial, read the moving papers. And no one would do it. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go to this trial. Even the other reporters, I'd be like, okay, here's what we're going to hear today. Here's what we're going to hear in the afternoon. Then they'd hear it. And then I'd see them like start biting their nails and their jaw drops. I'd be like, are you all just not listening? Like, what, but that, so I'm not surprised. I just didn't think Karen would give up the fight this quickly, because I knew I kept trying to give Karen the hint that like it wasn't just going to be me at a certain point following her out of the courthouse asking very tough questions about the factual record. And I was trying to demonstrate to her that like her lack of answers to these questions or ability to answer them like in a walk and talk was just going to eviscerate her. Like, you know what I mean? Because eventually the reporters were going to figure it out. And that yesterday it started, but today was the first day where you really saw Karen recognize that, like she's paying the piper. She cashed a lot. She wrote a lot of checks that her behind can't cash. And it's unfortunate that the people who ended up paying the price for it are her, well, maybe not her family, because they may have enabled her, but the victims, the witnesses, John's family, like she just went on this scorched earth, Stalin retreating in 1940, whatever it was in World War II strategy. And her plan was throw anything at the wall and try to get one juror who was a turtle rider. I think, in my opinion, the real plan was to get a turtle rider on that jury who no one knew was a turtle rider, and have Aidan Kearney and Karen, but Aidan directly telling this person, like, forget everything you hear, you got to vote to hold out, and doing that enough times where the state gave up.
Interesting. So it's almost like, until she really realized that she could go away. Like she just is trying to, like everyone, everyone wants to avoid punishment, I guess. But what a thing. I mean, how many people are left you don't see as many pink shirts. It looks like it's dwindled in front of the courthouse. I mean, how many free Karen Reed people are left who come every day to court?
25 to 30. By the end, it's like, I don't know, 15. There's only a few. It's only, again, it's, I don't even know how to feel about all this anymore. I have a lot of soul searching and reflecting to do on all of this, because I can't even begin to process the number of lives that were affected like this. It's about time. Like this story is finally starting to be told, and it's like people are actually telling it. So the stress is kind of dissipating from me, and I'm starting to actually be able to process what happened. Even some of these supporters for Karen Reed, I think, are like, what have we done? Like they have to keep going because it's, in the national spotlight, but the feeling is just like overwhelming sadness. Like there's like you said, you called it a funeral procession. You could sense it through the TV screen. Like being there, it was just like everybody knows. And that's I think what Karen's going through. It's this moment where she 2 to 3 days, her and I think realized it at the same time during openings, but she didn't really accept it until like the second day of testimony. And then today it just got nailed in again and again. The jury knows that this isn't like this is like the opening didn't work. The jury knows. There's nothing the defense is going to say. Like the jury knows, and Karen knows it. So that's that vibe you're getting. Like what I'm telling you is that Karen knows, the jury knows, and there's not one person on that jury who doesn't know.
And do you think that they are going to bring up this harassment campaign should she get convicted, let's just say for a thought experiment, do you think that when it comes to sentencing, that they could bring up this harassment campaign as part of the prosecution could? As part of showing maybe a lack of remorse, callousness, cruelty?
Oh, yeah, and I think there's just so many. That's the least of the implications of that. But yes, and I think that also it could be like a pre-sentence report, but I don't think it will matter because if she gets checked off on malice, second-degree murder, leaving the scene of an accident causing death, and OUI manslaughter. I don't think those. I think they're two distinct charges because it's not a lesser included offense. I think you can get convicted on both. But anyways, I don't know if she's getting out. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think the sentencing memorandum is going to be important, but I don't know if she's getting out. I mean, it's Massachusetts, so take that with a grain of salt. But I don't know about that. It's just what really frustrates me is that no one was listening. People were, obviously, like there's a group of people, I'm sure in your chat, Roberta in particular, who were listening. And I was very pleased. And I was like, you guys, you all are so good and you've done such good work to understand this. But then I would like speak to like national journalists or people like that, and I would just bang my head off the wall. And now finally I can just sit here and say, like, I told you all this was coming. Like, you did not listen to me, and you created this like horrific monstrosity through your platforms because you were chasing a very, 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 very predatory form of like clicks and views. And I just think there's a lot of guilt. Like, yeah, there's like, you know, general congeniality among the press corps and stuff, but you can sense there's a lot of guilt too. I'm not going to say anything more than that. There's just some guilt there, and you can sense it. No, they're never going to own up to it, but they know, and they feel very guilty, and they should, because I was telling them that they were doing it, and they still did it anyway.
They don't seem to even address it, you know? I mean, yesterday's show was all about the harassment campaign, and I don't think anyone really addressed it in the Free Karen Read. But I did get, oh wait, hold on. Let me see if I can read this. This is the kind of stuff I get from her PR that leaves comments to try to convince other people in my comment section. Hold on. I have to read this one. Hold on, guys. Let me pull it up. If I was really smart, I would have sent it to myself, but hello, I love your channel. This is someone I've never seen who's never left a comment before. I was in a car from a car service we used on the way to the airport with my family. I was with my family, and when we went by the exit that said Canton, we asked him if we had heard about the case. Yes, he said he was retired law enforcement and knew for a fact that she is being framed. And he said it had to do with some severe gambling that John O'Keefe was planning on letting the commissioner know about. I'm not advocating for what he said, nor have I formed an opinion yet, but I thought I'd share as we live in the Boston suburbs, and the vibe seems different than what's being reported. Like, it's a rumor. Like, a retired police officer has that like great piece of knowledge, and they're not gonna tell the defense. Everybody seems to know they're framed, but nobody seems to want to testify for the defense. They'd rather have an innocent woman go to prison. I love that sort of technique, and that was also in play. I think you were listening yesterday when I played the interview from Yellow Cottage Tales with Kevin J. Mahoney, the lawyer who was told that they have some great piece of, that they had some private investigator on Jennifer McCabe, and they've dug up something so explosive that he believes, this is his lawyer friend, that no one could convict Karen Read after this comes out. And I was asking my audience, what could it be that would convince them? And I said maybe it would have to be a video of her actually doing this crime, maybe a full confession. I don't know what, but I don't know how they would get that, not how they would not let that come out till now.
Here's my message to Attorney Mahoney. Go ask your friend DY. First of all, ask him what it was like working back in the Middlesex DA's office with my parents in the 80s. And then and say hello to Tanis. And then also, please ask DY what Karen said to him in jail. Go ahead, Attorney Mahoney. And if you really want to do a hypothetical in which you could never possibly understand what the answer was or what case it was referring to, just hypothetically say, if you had a client who backed into her police officer boyfriend and then called you to the jail, and then you went outside and started saying that she had no criminal intent, was that because, Mr. Yannetti, of something that Karen Reed said to you in jail? Did you go brag about that to people, Mr. Yannetti? I don't know. Can you put a client on the stand who you know is guilty and have her say she's innocent? Is that allowed? I don't know. I'm just asking questions.
Good questions. And do you think that Karen Reed is going to testify?
She can't not. She can't. She has to. She literally has to testify because they're going to play. If you were watching the pretrial hearings, they're going to play the news interviews on Nightline. What was it? I don't even know what they're all. Dateline, Nightline, 2020, whatever these stupid things are called. And yes, I'm mad at them because they tried to come into the line on the first day like they own Massachusetts. And I was like, welcome to Massachusetts, you. Anyway.
I'm sorry.
So my point is,
she questions for you. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, I'll answer anything. But my point is, she did, to answer your question here, she did the interviews and she embedded with one of the stations, I think it was 2020, and violated her pretrial release by going to John's house and pulling into the driveway and with the producer and stuff. So I think that those are going to be played. And all of the notes are going to come in and stuff. And so as a result, the jury is going to be like, wait a minute. This person, Karen Reed, was willing to go on national TV, talk about her innocence, her theories, all of this stuff that she proclaims. But now when she has to go under oath, she's not going to testify. Now, you can tell the jury all you want. Do not draw an inference do not hold against Karen Reed that she is not testifying. And that is her right to not testify. But she is the one who went on national media. You know what I mean? And her statements are statements by a party opponent. They come in under 804D2E or 1 or whatever it is. And so as a result, there's no doubt in my mind that she's going to testify and she's going to get eviscerated. So that's just going to be the coup. Like that is, it's almost like, I hope people understand, like Shakespeare could write this, but it's really more worthy of kind of like a modern novel, because what this is going to crescendo into is like a Dickensian moment of catharsis. And it's going to be Karen Reed up on that stand, putting herself, like the way she is going to, without whether she realizes it or not, her subconscious is drawing her to that stand where she is going to lay her head down. And Adam Lally is, I should not use this analogy, but he is literally going to draw and quarter her. And it's going to be vicious, and she's going to put herself up there partially because, at least ostensibly, she thinks she's going to be putting herself up there to give her side. But in reality, her subconscious is drawing her like a moth to flame. Shout out Tim Bradle, in order to put her head down onto that stand and have it cut off. And that's what she deserves. She is going to put herself up there to get the coup de grace, and that's going to be the price she pays for what she did in the pretrial process. It's kind of a beautiful irony in some sense that is going to be the crescendo of this calamitous chaos, but it is exactly what Miss Reed and everyone around her deserves. Potentially accessory to murder charges, maybe conspiracy.
I mean, it's bad when they're leaving comments like, I heard from a friend of a friend tried to influence people in my comment section that to ignore the evidence and that people on the real inside know what went on, even though there's no evidence of it. And somehow there's a giant conspiracy that he was going to out, and he was offed before he could talk. B. Tim, thanks. Jackson made one rookie mistake that all attorneys know not to do. As a question, you ask a question you do not know the answer to. Yeah, absolutely. Of course, my favorite attorney, the greatest of all time, in my opinion, John Luanne, the greatest living attorney, I think, or one of them, says, he objects to that. He thinks that, and I think his crosses are phenomenal. He says it's not about asking the questions which you know the answer to. He says it's about asking the questions of which there are no good answers. So,
wait, yeah, haven't you realized that the defense doesn't want to answer any of my questions because the best question is one to which there is not a good answer?
that's his style. And it's, you know, I just think it's fascinating to watch someone, to watch. In the Durst trial, he said, he asked Robert Durst, if you had killed these people, Morris Black, Kathy Durst, and Susan Berman, would you lie about it? Would you perjure yourself on the stand? And Durst said, yes, I would lie about it. So, I mean, and then he already admitted that he had committed perjury 5 times already in the trial, and the cross only got better from there. So, I mean, you just I think that sometimes, that's exactly what you're doing too. And it's interesting to watch the kind of reactions of the press around you, because those are the questions you're supposed to be asking, the hard-hitting questions. Not you seemed frustrated. You seemed frustrated. How about you seem totally embarrassed? That seemed to backfire on you. Or do you think it backfired on you? Might be one. Or how did that strategy work today?
Well, Alan Jackson is lucky that I don't even know if I was in the moment. I think I was just, my brain was just, I had just finished finals, and it was the first day where, well, I have a few more to finish, but it was the first day where I didn't have anything else to do except focus on this trial. And still, it was such an overwhelming moment in court. I couldn't process, even though I knew it had happened. I wasn't able to process the Flamati exchange well enough to even realize that Alan Jackson had been eviscerated. And so that's the kind of day it was today. There was so much going on. You could tell that's what I was getting to. My colleagues, and I won't it's in public, so you could see their facial expressions. They were chewing on their nails. They were typing furiously. They were just jaw dropped. I mean, there's a picture of me, which I'm sure you can find in my profile, of me just of the moment that I heard Flamati. You can actually, if you want to see how intense this Flamati cross was, the moment Flamati said that thing about the doctors and nurses on cross, I realized my jaw just, and the New York Post photographer got it. The still photo guy must have knew, because I think the still photo today knew he's been to some of the hearings, so he knew I really knew the case, and I think he knew I knew that moment was like the most important moment that was possible, and he got my reaction. And then he sent it to me, and I was like, "What? This happened like 5 seconds ago." So my point is, my life is just a theater of the absurd, and I just have to constantly encounter these ridiculous situations and somehow just keep going to the next thing. So I'm sorry for decompressing about it all to you,
but we
Roberta.
all tried to say this, and they were saying you're not reading the court documents. That's what they would say to me, and I would say I am reading them. It's not looking good for the defense. But I didn't know how bad it was because a lot of these witnesses weren't, or I don't remember them mentioned in the prosecutions, how many people, they mentioned it sounded like a firefighter, not a bunch of five firefighters, that she said, I did it. I mean, how many more people are going to get up on the stand and said, Karen Reed told me I did it. I did this. I'm the one responsible.
Oh, and let me just correct Eddie Alexander in real time. It's not that there was no body in the morning. It was that Lucky Lofgren didn't see a body. And Lucky Lofgren, the EMT couldn't even see a body until he got 10 feet away, and then it was just an outline. So no, that is completely extraneous. And people, Isaac Asimov once said that the biggest problem with democracy is that people feel entitled to this premise that your ignorance, because you have a very busy life and stuff going on, is tantamount to other people's knowledge. And it's not, and you're breaking our country. And sometimes you just have to be like, I have an opinion about something, but that doesn't mean that I understand something. And then you need to take the time to actually understand it rather than just coming to an opinion. Now, I realize some of you are doing PR. You are never going to listen to me, and I'm just going to continue to beat you down like the stupid jackrabbits you are. But for people who are actually trying to authentically engage, sometimes you just have to realize that you cannot even participate in an informed way, other than asking questions in the public sphere, until you have a base of knowledge about a specific person, issue, situation, or event sufficient to discuss the content therein with cogency. Otherwise, you insult and disgrace the way that our representative democracy functions and our system of justice, and you enable people like Turtle Boy. So stop doing that. Thank you for listening to my...
Yeah, no, that was the biggest surprise for me when I did my podcast. It was not that when I started it, it wasn't that I was getting comments from people who were so informed. I would just get the same propaganda that's in these innocence fraud documentaries over and over again. They think they know because they've seen a movie that was produced to get an effect, which is to get a convict out, that they think that they're getting a story. And because it's called a documentary, they think that it's true. Tim. And because the press supports it, and the press will write that narrative too. Tim, thank you. How can Lucky explain seeing a car down the block when the cops and EMT can't see a car? Did you just address this? 3 people and a body. I think Lucky's going to be a bad witness. Well, you just addressed this, right?
Yeah, no, I think that the only thing that was even close to accurate there was...
Thank you, though, for the I think he's an interesting witness. I mean, certainly, I think they think he's a defense witness. Don't you think?
Yeah, I didn't see this as a super chat.
You saw that it was Karen's car. I mean, he thought it looked like a Ford Explorer, and let's look at
Ford Edge. He thought it looked like a Ford Edge, but
a
Ford Edge is very similar to a black Lexus. And also, I didn't see that was a super chat. I think Lucky is going to be a bad witness, but not in the way that person thinks.
Oh, I appreciate you answering my super chats. Kathy Chafin, and thanks, Roberta and Grant. Thank you, Grant, for getting in touch with me and coming on and talking about this, because you really don't get any sense. The courtroom, I can't even get a sense of the layout of the courtroom. It looks absolutely beautiful and so different than anything that I've ever seen a courtroom. Are you standing?
No, it's like I'm at a bar. Okay, so it is very intimate. I don't know how to explain this other than to say it's very intimate. So you walk in right to the left. I think I mentioned. So you walk in. I'll explain it again for people who may not understand. So this courtroom is tucked into the very corner of the building. It's not the main courtroom, which is huge. And in this corner, it's actually like an octagon. Think like a UFC ring, and you enter it from a single door. Now, straight ahead of you is the main aisle that walks to counsel tables. And then maybe you only have about 5 feet of sort of entryway before you look to your left, and you're met with sort of a media pen, which is the left corner of the room. And then to your right is the entrance to the jury box, which is kind of a corner room that wraps around and then goes towards the jury box, which comes around towards the judge at the front of the room. So the jury is ringing the parties on one side of the room, and then the press is ringing the parties on the other side of the room, but it is very small. Then behind the parties are 2 benches that can only fit 5 to 6 people each. So there's 12 people in 2 benches that are no more than 4 feet. In distance. So from me to the front of the first row in front of me of the O'Keefe family is 4 feet. and there are 2 rows of people there, 5 to 6 people in each row. Similar behind Karen near the jury, her family, 5 to 6 people in the front row directly behind counsel table, and then 5 to 6 people behind them right against a wall, because that's that room that the jurors walk through to get to their seats. And then Karen Reed, so the defense table is right here in the middle of the octagon, and it's it is Yannetti, Karen Reed, Alan Jackson, Elizabeth Little. Then in front of them, kind of sitting in front of the judge, almost like the main courtroom, but a shrunken version of it, assistant ADA, and then McLaughlin, the ADA, and then Lally. And then in front of them is the clerk staff, and then the judge. And then to the left of the ADA and Yannetti is this big black TV screen that the jurors look at for evidence, and that the witnesses use a laser pointer to point at. But my head is right there, so I constantly have to cover my eyes because they kept pointing the laser pointer in my eyes, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to go blind. So that's what it's like being in there.
Interesting. Barb Nauman, thank you. Great to see you. Confession, I thought Alan Jackson was the 90s country singer when I heard his name. And why was Melanie Little on vacation with him? What are the details, Grant?
Well, let's say this. I think where that started was Melanie Little said she went to Mexico for a Dave Matthews Band concert and then saw a wristband or something indicating that she thought Alan Jackson had gone, and she wondered if she was there with him. So that was the start. That was the start of that. And that was a question I asked, whether or not they went. Now, the question whether Melanie Little and Alan Jackson know each other, that's interesting. There's a lot of stuff I think would be very interesting. There are these, I don't know. Hypothetically, I've heard of things called like requests for admissions and, discovery orders. And I think I'll just reserve comment on Attorney Little for the time being. Let's just say that.
Okay. Well, she's erased her Instagram where she put that up. Interestingly, since then. Jill Downey, thanks, Roberta and Grant. I would be pulling my hair out if it weren't for you and Yellow Cottage Tales. Yeah, Kevin's doing an awesome job on covering this too. Thank you, Jill. Do you want to check out a video of I'm addicted to his advertisements. You want to check out his video?
Oh yes, please.
Okay,
please.
All right. Let's just have a little fun with this. All right.
When you're looking for a DUI, or as they're
so we're back to the young David Yannetti. We're going back, and we've had a time machine. We're going back to the youngish David Yannetti, and this is it's called DUI OUI. So that's one of his specialties is would people commit offenses under the influence.
Called in Massachusetts an OUI lawyer. You want somebody who has handled hundreds of them so that there is no way that attorney will be surprised by anything that happens in court and will know how to prepare the cases and how to try.
Right. So you won't be surprised when your client says to you, I did this, but I didn't have any criminal intent. And you can just go out and you can tell the press, hey, Karen Reed, she told me she really loved John, but she did this, but she had no criminal intent. Until you get the memo. I love this. Now we're looking at the library. This actually, is this a green screen? Because it looks so real to me.
As a former prosecutor,
yeah, it is real. He's going to show you it's real. He actually uses his books, guys. He has them at the ready, his law books. He can refer to them at the ready.
Hundreds of these cases. I know how to.
He's like, I have a drunk here. They were operating a car. Let me go look it up and see what's going on here.
He's probably
how
reading.
I can get him out of it.
Oh my God, he's probably reading a random case about like a tort about like an estate in the Massachusetts Reporter. He's like, yes, like, my DUI case.
Just pick one at the middle. I can just see the director. Just pick one, pick a book just right out of the middle and just take it out and just kind of flip through it like you're referring to it. Okay. Okay, perfect. We got the shot.
Prepare these cases. I know how to try them. I know how to be persuasive, and I know what the issues are. So I think that
I've dealt with a lot, and I mean a lot. I mean hundreds of DUI cases. How many has he done? And I'll be ready for it, guys. I know all the ways to get you out of it.
lends a lot of comfort to my clients to know that the attorney that's walking into court next to them is really at the...
He shows this. Helps free a man his old office prosecuted. This is a guy, Grant, I don't know if you heard about this guy. This is a guy who signed a confession. He got it overturned. Then he got a new trial for him. And then he got him acquitted. Can you imagine being the victim's family, how devastating that would be? And he's bragging. He's like, this seems to be both Alan Jackson and Yanetti's specialty, to getting people off who do things on film, say they did it, confess to it, and they find some way to get them out of it. But that's his big claim to fame. Do you know this case at all?
No, I feel like I saw it brought up the other day. I was like, I should look into that. And then
Me too. I should look into it too. It's something that probably will make me want to eat my iPhone reading about it, because I find these so frustrating. When, because there's a whole heap load of evidence. It's not just the confession.
top of his game and ready for whatever may come his way. I realize that when my client is charged
I got a guy off who said he did it. He said he swore he did it. And I still got him off.
with the crime, that criminal case means the world to him or her. My client's life, career, reputation is all at stake. My clients know that when they hire me, I am the attorney that they get.
Well, Karen Reed, that's a kind of an interesting thing. What kind of reputation do you think she'll have out of this, and career? What kind of time should she get convicted? She may get acquitted. You never know which way a jury's going to go.
Did you ever read
she could get a home jury, and we may do this all over again,
Well, yeah, did you
Crazy
ever read
things happen.
Did you ever read her email to AJ about Yannetti?
No, do you have it, Andy?
Yeah. Let's finish playing this, and then we'll take a look at how Karen talks about Mr. Yannetti. I think you'll find it very enlightening.
Okay, B. Tim says, I think you misunderstood my question. Okay, I'm sorry, Tim. Snow plow guy going to be a bad witness due to the fact that he can... a bad witness for Karen. Identify a car down the block when it is dark. I think he will be torn apart by the Commonwealth. All right, I'm going to throw that to Grant. I find him a big question mark. It's really interesting, Tim, that you bring him up, because I find him a big question mark too.
Oh, I don't think. I think he's going to be a bad witness for the defense. He did not want to. I don't think he really wants to be involved in a lot of this. So. Reluctant witnesses who have no support. I think that the Reed team was like somebody like that Scanlon guy isn't even on their witness list. They were trying to pay him, and he returned the check. There was some weird stuff going on with this whole thing, and I think it was because there was a lot of money involved.
I can't do anything with this. Sorry, they have her dead to rights. I can't jump aboard. Is that what you mean when he said he returned the check? He just couldn't. That's the private investigator.
I think it was just he was pitching them leads, and then they were like, all right, here's the 1,500, and then and then he never cashed even the first check, because I think I don't know, with this, maybe after the trial, if I ever meet this guy, I'll be like, so figured it out pretty quickly, huh?
This has 39 or 18 views or something, under 50 views on YouTube, and it's been there for 8 years, which I find interesting. But they're probably because people are viewing them through his website, really, and they probably just put them up on YouTube for fun. And I seem to be the only one. Myself and Mera are the only ones who are obsessed with them. Roberta, I love these Yannetti clips. Did you know Alan Jackson was on a true crime series? We should we should look at those, eat in those. Yeah, definitely. If it's not, if they won't copyright strike me for them, definitely. Count it all joy. Thank you. What is the likelihood of Karen testifying and being cross-examined? Yeah, Grant was just saying he thinks that Karen has to testify. Now she's been pushed into a corner and has to testify. She has no choice. And it's going to be devastating for her. Go back about maybe 10 minutes ago. We just talked about this. But what do you think cross-examination is going to go like, Grant, with Karen Reed? What kind of questions do you think you'll get?
Oh, I mean, it's going to be like a 7-hour cross. It'll start with every inconsistent state, like, because it's all the state's witnesses will have testified, so it'll be every inconsistent statement, and then it'll jump to the first responders, and it'll jump to her interviews, and I can't.
Those interviews were terrible. If the interviews are any indication at how bad she's going to be on the stand, and they're going to prep her, and they're going to, Alan Jackson and Yannetti, they're going to play Lolly, and they're going to try to give her questions and prepare her. But she's also, seems to me, very narcissistic and thinks she knows better. And she may, I don't think she will do well. I think she's going to come across as very callous and very arrogant in cross. What do you think?
Oh, for sure. I think that sorry, I'm trying to track down this email. I think that it's not just callous. She's going to come across as like I said, she's going to come across as unwittingly or otherwise having put herself up there to be like, okay, like, she's not going to say I did it, but like that cross is just going to be like, forget the scarlet letter. Like, is there like a I hit him like brand? Like, she's going to like get that sewn onto her for life.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole cross is just going to be her being literally branded with the phrase like I hit him. And by the end of it, like there are going to be pictures that the whole meme that will come out of her cross is an I hit him brand stamped across her forehead. And it will just be that over and over and over and over again.
Even if she said, did I hit him? She's making it, and I made this point again, but just for those in the back who didn't hear it, can't hear it, she's opening up the possibility that could be true. That is in the realm of possibilities, that she hit him with it's not even that good. Her own, did I hit him?
I do the research. I prepare the cases.
He does the research because we just watched him, Grant, do the research. He did it right in front of our eyes. He got that book out. He flipped through it. He does the research.
I show up for court and handle the pretrial motions, and I try the cases. I am the attorney that my clients have hired, and I am the attorney that my clients get. And I believe that
Is anyone disputing that he's the attorney their clients hired? They're like, I hired you, Yannetti, but someone else came in, like someone else looking like Dolly Parton. He's like, no, that's not going to happen here. I show up looking like myself. I actually show up when you actually hire me and pay me to be there. Because so often it happens that you hire an attorney and someone else shows up just off the street.
Is a main reason why my practice has become so successful.
Okay. You're not even a lawyer. I hired David Yannetti and someone showed up. They're not even a lawyer. So silly. David Yannetti. But let's take a look. I just wanted to show you. This is super, or I find this super interesting. Guess I should speak for myself here. So David Yannetti has like his most recent cases up on his. So I'm in 2023 cases. So look at how many of these have been dismissed and look at some of these charges. One of them is trafficking, weapons charges, thieves. These are, so the result is always client avoids a felony charge, avoids a conviction, like thrown out. We did get a not guilty, complaint dismissed. Application for complaint dismissed. Case dismissed. Check this out again. Client avoids a 5-year. He got one not guilty. Terminated early. Case dismissed again. So that's really what he's known. Case dismissed. It goes on and on. Case dismissed. So if you have any doubt that their strategy was to never go to trial, to get this dismissed before it ever goes to trial, this would certainly, here's a little bit of proof for you that this is really his specialty, is getting cases dismissed. So how are you doing on that email? Because
I'm getting a few things for you. So if you go to your Twitter, I just replied to you with an image you can bring up on the screen. Check out this message from Karen. She sent to Turtle Boy via Natale, which I think was leaked on Twitter at some point because I have it in my Twitter saves. Take a look at that. So it's on your actual Twitter post. I just replied to you. I'm just going to reply to you with the evidence that I want you to share because it's easier for me.
Okay. All right. Here's my Twitter. So if you're not following me on Twitter, hold on one second. Let me share my screen so you guys can see what I'm seeing. I'm at Roberta Glass Pod in a rare moment of self-promotion, which I'm so bad at. Here's this is this post. So you're replying to this post, I guess? Okay, here we go. Off the record, I never believed I hit him. I thought maybe he changed his mind and ran after my car for a ride, and I clipped him, and he passed out. Wait, go back, Graham. What is the context of this? Oh, man, maybe I'm going to have to figure it out myself. Maybe he took a break. One thing I can tell you, I never thought that morning that his friends and a BPD coworker left him to die like roadkill. I mean, the empathy in this text is something. Every report that says I hit him is authored by Michael Proctor. Oh, that's likely. I was screaming, could I have hit him? Did I hit him? That's not good either. That's not a good story either. So she's tailoring her story to the evidence, in my opinion. And it doesn't look good for Karen Reed there. Hey, Raziva, Roberta, please ask. Oh, I think we lost him. Maybe I have to add him.
I'm here. Hello. Sorry.
I'm sorry. No. Please ask her. So, what was the context of that? Who did she send that to? I'm sorry.
That was Karen talking to Turtle Boy through a woman named Natale. If you want to bring it back up on the screen, that's what she's going to have to. Okay. You can see, we can take her lie one thing at a time, but you can see she knows she said this to all these first responders, and she's lying to Turtle Boy. She's saying she's lying to him. So listen, this fits a pattern. If people are realizing this, let's think back to the Aruba incident. You have to pay very close attention to the timeline to understand what Karen was doing and what she is as a person. So when Karen and John are in Aruba on this family trip, right, they're with 70 people at a resort. On a separate part of the island, Paul and Aaron O'Keefe are staying with their 2 kids. It's sort of it's far away. It's like a taxi ride. Now at this hotel, this resort, the sister of the organizer of the trip, who by the way is John is the godfather to this person's child because that person is a widow, and John's former BPD partner who died was this person's husband before he died. John gives this woman a hug. Immediately, Karen texts Aaron O'Keefe, John's sister-in-law, John's brother's wife, and says that John kissed that woman when it was a hug. And you can see what Karen's pathology is. She was immediately like, he was kissing her to hit John's own sister-in-law when he had only hugged her. And we have another example of it here. Folks heard the testimony today. So now look at Karen's message, whatever it was back in April or whatever, 2023, May, maybe a little later. Karen saying to Turtle Boy, you're only going to see reports where Michael Proctor says that I hit him. Are you kidding me? She was lying to Turtle Boy.
Only 15 people first respond. It just seems like this is the parade of people who she said this to seems endless, and we're
And
not
I hope people realize like what you're going to see. That I have it in my records. I have her email. Somebody on Twitter released her email to Alan Jackson about David Yannetti, where she's like, "Oh, David Yannetti wanted $250,000, but I would only pay him $200,000, and I'm going to get you the full $250K, AJ. Don't worry about it. But I don't want to go through trial with a public defender, and I don't think DY can do this on his own." I was like, "Oh my God, Karen! First of all, how did this end up on Twitter? And second of all, why did you say that?
Why did you say that even in a text? You know what I mean? Why would you say that in any way that could be
just
traced
him.
back to you?
Right,
call him. Most uncriminally savvy person. But we see this all the time with texts, that people think that their texts are private and, they self-snitch all the time. It's crazy. So...
And when I'm not real. I don't think I realized at the time just how big of a deal it was. But yeah, like when you see this email, she was, I don't like her team was leaking from the very beginning. Somebody's like, I think Turtle Boy was out to get her. They were out to get like they didn't like each other. I think they just, this whole thing is, I can't believe it happened. I'm almost speechless. I'm not speechless, but I'm almost speechless at how bad the whole thing fell apart because it just wasn't very smart. There was no substance to it. It was just vindictiveness and money.
Right. And she said, do you know who she was paying $3,000 to, by the way?
That might have been an early PR firm. Do we know who it was?
I don't. I was going to ask you if you knew who that was that she was paying $3,000 to. That obviously got her the big gigs, the Today Show and the.
I have some ideas.
Lines.
I think it's a woman. I think it's a woman named Christina Lamb. Now the reason why is Christina Lamb runs a boutique legal PR firm, and it's in this area. And she does that kind of work, and I have reason to believe her daughter is very involved in all of this. So just, I figured it out pretty quickly, and it's way more than her, by the way. This spiraled into like Jackson's friends, because think about how much money this generated. How much money did she raise? Oh, this could be millions. We could be talking hundreds of thousands or millions. Maybe millions. And there was gambling involved. Like they were doing 50-50 raffles. Like it's hard to understand the tentacles of this thing unless you really understand what Karen Read was doing. And then as we're piecing this all together, you can see that she was like, she's a mastermind, like literally. And I think people keep saying, no, she's not that smart. It's not that I wouldn't say she's like emotionally in control of herself, but like, tell me a genius level person, looks, intelligence, mental stability, pick two. That's the reality.
Yeah, but also a lot of these psychopaths are very calculated. I would call it they're master calculators, too.
Well, do you know this guy, Vince McMahon? You've probably heard of him from the WWF.
Yes, I've heard of him.
Very evil, horrible human being. That very bad pathology, but clearly very knew how to run a company and all this stuff. This man, if he sneezed for 20 minutes, would be in an uncontrollable fit of anger because he could not control that sneeze. That's the pathology of this kind of person.
Okay, this is a question for you, Grant. Chris, thanks. Aiden is currently posting pictures of himself in front, and so we're talking about Aiden Kearney or Turtle Boy, in front of a graffiti tag daddy. It is disgusting to see his ego on full display. Grant, is there an upcoming court date for him where he can face jail?
Well, there's
they're far away from that, aren't they?
Well, there's a lot of things going on. I mean, he has like 18 outstanding cases. Some case he just got bound over on 2 felonies to Superior Court, illegal interception of a oral communication and witness intimidation. He has outstanding WI charges from the fall. There's reports that he's under investigation for SA. And there's reports that Mr. Kearney sent his victim text messages where the victim told him the night before that she was incapacitated after only 3 drinks, which was out of the norm. And you know what I'm implying, and could have happened there, Roberta. And then Mr. Kearney in the text messages was like, yeah, I knew you were. He basically admitted to it and said, like, I knew you were very drunk. And then Mr. Kearney sent the victim a video of Mr. Kearney engaging in the alleged SA. So I don't know where that's going, but something happened today that I haven't talked about yet, which was and I'll say this on camera, one of the Turtle Boy supporters or a Karen Reed supporter. I don't know if they're a Turtle Boy supporter anymore. I will not say who this person was. I will protect their confidence. They came up to me and they were like, Grant, do you see that person here right now? And I was like, no. And they were like, well, you should think about that. And it's for a good reason. And it wasn't the fact that Turtle Boy was on the outs with Karen Reed because Turtle Boy told Lindsay that Karen Reed has a personal relationship with Josh Levy. Here, let me reply to you with another image, Roberta. And let's look at this conversation that Karen Reed and Turtle Boy had directly, actually. But it's not just that. It's that Turtle Boy is now a liability for Karen Reed. And the person who came up to me today was definitely close to Karen Reed because they were like, Grant, like the unspoken premise of what they were saying was like, Grant, we get it.
Yeah, certainly he's a liability, and that you can even, they said it in their court filings, like we have nothing to do with him now, which is hilarious, or we have no connection to him. Didn't they say something in one of their filings, defense filings? Am I remembering correctly?
Well, they called him an intimidator. They definitely had a certain vibe about them that they were not comfortable with what he was doing. Let me respond to you with this one more image here, because I think some of this stuff, I didn't know people hadn't seen her text. I didn't know you hadn't seen her text.
No.
Okay.
Let's take my own take.
So here's a text that she sent to Turtle Boy directly, and so this is Karen Reed. So I just replied to you on your Twitter, and that is a text from Karen Reed to Turtle Boy talking about.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, sorry.
So ridiculous.
Yeah. So this is a direct. That's it. That's a direct communication between Karen and Turtle Boy. Might have to zoom in. I don't know how that works.
I don't know how it works either.
I think you can X out of the image, and it will make it a little clearer. Like go out of full screen, actually.
Okay.
And then it will. So but you can just read it. So the blue is Karen Reed and the gray is Turtle Boy. It's Karen Reed trying to manipulate Turtle Boy about how federal indictments were coming that never came. And God, mind you, this is months ago.
It's a GJ to indict, not charge. What's a GJ?
That's Karen Reed, and so grand jury. Karen Reed.
This is
Karen Reed leaking about the privileged, protected federal grand jury to Turtle Boy. This is direct evidence.
So that's not known to anyone but us. So let me text it. So that was just me saying, so let's text it. So you can share with him, but he can't share. Isn't that what an indictment is? Oh boy. Charges come before an indictment. Indictment means it's going to trial. Oh my gosh. Oh, law. Grand jury approved. So does everybody get that? So to bring charges against someone, you go to a grand jury to indict someone secretly. Okay. Don't charge mean going to trial. Typically, oh my gosh, he still doesn't get it. Typically charged, then indicted, which signals due process has occurred, then trial. I was charged, but trial track didn't start until I was officially indicted at Superior Court. The feds are skipping straight to the indictment. Oh, wow. So they're definitely getting charged. This is exciting. The cops and DA compile the charges, but a grand jury hears the entire case. So is this about her charges or about the...
She's trying to use... She's trying to use analogies and be like, you know, there are federal cops and federal DAs. He's literally an idiot.
Okay. That's what I thought. Okay. Oh, the cop. So now you can see it a little bit clearer here. I just hit on your post. Okay. Learning things about Twitter now. Wow. That is sad. Sad. Okay.
Oh, there's more of these.
Here's the one. Okay, off the record, I never. Oh, that's the old one. Okay.
Yep. So I'll keep looking because I have this. I have this other one too. So don't.
All right.
That one's probably the best one if I can find it. The one about Go ahead, please.
I have one more thing for us to look at together, which is I thought this was on. Chris, thanks. Aiden went to lunch today and said he was attacked by a witness. He posted the video. Did you see that?
Just hearing that he may have tried to intimidate a witness and posted a video of it. I'm going to try to figure out more. Maybe we can play it after you play this next video.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I just wanted to play a little of this video from this is since I thought that no disrespect from Kevin from Yellow Cottage Tales. He did the best that he could, but he was put with a total idiot on last night's Mini-Politan show. I went to the one before last because I thought this was kind of interesting.
Jennifer McCabe. We've already been talking about her tonight. Let me put up on the screen, give you an idea of some of the significance of Jennifer McCabe for this case. Who is she? Well, she was out drinking with O'Keefe and Reed the night of January 28th, 2022. It's on her phone where the search, how long to die in the cold, was done. The defense claims that
may have lost the video there. Did we lose you, Roberta? Well, I'm here. I don't know if Roberta's here. Oh, it's possible we lost Roberta. That's okay. I'll carry the stream.
Wait, no. I'm here.
Oh, she's McCabe then tried to delete.
I'm sorry. Let me go read those again. Sorry, guys. Once it's proven Colin was gone before John and Karen. I'm sorry to do that to you guys. She's toast. I think it's not looking good for her. And I'll go back to Chris's. Sorry, guys. Sometimes there's technical difficulties. Thanks, Chris. AK went to lunch today, posted a video of him supposedly getting intimidated by a witness. The video is wild. It's a BF of one of the witnesses.
Can we find it and watch it?
Are you blocked on his Twitter? It's going to be on his Twitter. I can find it. Hold on one second. I know Karen Reed blocked me. I thought that was interesting, having never dealt with her ever.
Oh, hold on. We should pause this video because we have a treat and the viewers are going to enjoy this. And I don't know how it is that I managed to track this down, but I'm going to reply to it on your Twitter right now. And this is probably if you, as a David Yannetti, quote unquote, ironic fan, are going to find. I think you should just read this email out loud without reading it beforehand. And I would like your real honest to God reaction. You have to start it's Karen Reed talking to Alan Jackson. I have sent it.
Okay.
It is a reply to your Twitter.
Out.
And it is quite possibly the greatest thing that Roberta is ever going to have seen in her entire life. And I hope you are all prepared for this.
I'm so ready for the greatest thing I've ever seen before in my entire life. Hold on, guys. All right.
Nope, you missed it. Go up.
Wait. Okay. Alan Jackson totally understood. We're good. Okay, so this is one more time. This is from Karen to Alan Jackson.
About
David thank Yannetti. You. About my great love, David Yannetti, with the great coat, the horrible curtains in his office. And he's very thoughtful, David Yannetti. He gives you Jolly Ranchers and candy when you come in, just sitting on his desk. I like that touch. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Just please understand that I am summoning every possible resource. She's summoning every possible resource. I'm sounding, it's Brooklyn. I can't get it, but it's so good when she says it. To get to, when she says that on the court steps.
It's the South Coast thing, so it's like it's like resource.
Resource. Okay, I'm good. Every possible resource to get. I love the Boston accent. To get to the 200K, and that Yannetti is likely out of his league with what this case requires. I just can't have the relationship with him fall apart and resort to a public defender for a trial. I also don't want to disclose a fee rate agreement with Yannetti since he's already given me a break on his trial fee. 200K versus 250K with 100K signed over from my bail money if we go to trial. So he's getting 350K for him. And so this is like a $500,000 defense we're looking at here. Wow. I'm planning on saying that a colleague is paying you directly, which is close to true. A colleague that has structured a low interest personal loan for me that is payable at maturity. But what if she goes to prison? How's she going to pay that back? That is amazing. And that makes me dislike Karen Reed even more, that she was so mean to Yannetti. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so hi Karen.
She wanted to just stop using David Yannetti, and the case would be so much not as good without Yannetti there. Why? Karen, why?
I just want you all to know this has been on Twitter for like 6 months, and you all just didn't see it.
Well, we all can't see everything. Has it been on your Twitter and I didn't see it?
Oh, lots of people posted it. And the other thing is, I feel like Karen knows that I know all this, and she's just like, oh God, what is he going to go on national TV and say next?
I hope so. Maybe why you're not invited on Vinnie Politan's show. Maui Swift, are there any of these texts in the state case? She's asking.
Oh yeah, lots of them. Wait, you want to see Exhibit O? Hold on, let me reply to Roberta with Exhibit O. You'll like.
I've seen
Exhibit
that.
O.
I actually have seen that. I actually have seen
that
Exhibit
one
O.
before?
No.
Okay, so I just so people understand, I just replied to it to Roberta. I have like you have to refresh your tweet, but I have this mental index, and then I know like my computer folder structure is like my brain, so I can just find these images just like that. And if I can't find it, I get frustrated. But this is Exhibit O. You can read this one. This is from Karen Reed's cell phone search warrant affidavit.
I found some information on the way home about the feds that I will not be making public. Questions have been asked.
Hold on. This is Karen Reed to Turtle Boy through Natale.
Okay. Really? Good or bad? Yes, they requested a conference call over the weekend. Josh Levy himself asking questions like, is there any chance the trial date could be delayed? Only one reason to ask that. So Josh Levy is the attorney general for you guys. who don't know, asking for all communications with the DA office, asking for Jen McCabe's cell phone records to be sent to them as soon as they get them. Keep in mind, feds likely have Jen's phone records already, so they may want to see them because they suspect whoever hands them over to the defense will delete things that won't match up with their records. The mere fact that they are the ones seeking out Karen's lawyers tell you that this is far from over and that they want more info for this case. Levy asked them, if you are contacted by media in the next coming days or weeks, we would appreciate it together. Why he would ask that unless he knew something was going to happen and we were connected for comment on.
So there you go. So nothing ever ended up happening. And this proves that Josh Levy and Karen Reed had a direct personal relationship or connection that involved communication. That potentially means Josh Levy violated 28 CFR 16.21 through 26, specifically as enumerated in Section 25 of the DOJ Operations and Sections Manual. And that means that Josh Levy did that potentially in a way that was directly to a murder defendant. And it's like, this guy's an acting U.S. attorney. He's not even confirmed. This is crazy. I think this was actually Dustin Chow, in my opinion. This was the head of the DOJ's public integrity section in Boston, getting back at Michael Morrissey because Dustin Chow's wife back in 2015, completely unrelated to the Karen Reed case, got passed over for a promotion when the U.S. attorney and the Norfolk DA, who was then Michael Morrissey and is still Michael Morrissey, were working on a joint prosecution of a case involving Stephen the Rifleman Flemmy and a murder out of Sharon like 15 years before. And during that case, Dustin Chow's wife got passed over for a promotion in the Norfolk DA's office, left the office on bad terms. Chow was going around saying he was going to do everything he could to get this district attorney. Now, one more thing to remember, Rachel Rollins, if you read the OIG report into why she got fired, actually, Roberta, let me reply to you with that on Twitter too, because I think people, if you really want to understand what I think Josh Levy was doing, and I think Rachel Rollins might have helped with this, let's just take a look at the OIG report into Rachel Rollins, because what you'll see if you just read that report, it enumerates very, very carefully what the DOJ likes to do when it wants to really burn someone but doesn't actually have anything on them. And what really scares me about this is I figured this out a while ago. I mean, I knew what I was onto, and I think people who pay close attention to me and follow what I write will realize that, like, I understand what I'm talking about, and I know the world that I'm analyzing right now. And I right away was like, oh my dear God, why did you people get involved with this woman? And that's the part of it that I still haven't really been able to answer. So, Roberta, I just replied to you on Twitter with this, and if we could, if you would
also, I thought that also would be also more fun. Thank you, Murder by Maestro. Track down the clip from today on the cross-examination so we could watch it together.
Yes, can we do that? But just to wrap this up, because I think people have to understand why that message from Karen.
Absolute.
If you just look at,
I'm not in any hurry. Hold on.
Don't worry. But
as long as you aren't, you aren't in any hurry.
I'm not. I just don't want to forget because I have this bad habit of being like, okay, what's next? Let's talk about the cross.
Me too. So I'm glad you're keeping me more.
It's the one right below that. So
right below one. Here. Yeah.
Yep, so,
okay.
And you might have to actually read it, but if you look at what Rachel Rollins did to a man named Kevin Hayden, that you can see it on Roberta's Twitter. It's hard to read all of the text, but the OIG report explains how Rachel Rollins opened a fake probe into this guy named Kevin Hayden because he won the Suffolk County District Attorney's race in Massachusetts up near Boston. And Rollins' ally, Ricardo Arroyo, who was then a sitting city councilor, lost. And what did Rollins do to punish? She sent Arroyo text messages like, oh, we're going to get this guy Hayden. She opened a probe on Hayden, recused herself from it, leaked the recusal letter to the Globe, and then had them reporting on a federal investigation into Hayden. Doesn't that sound awfully familiar to the playbook that right around this time, Karen Reed ran when she went into Levy's office? And doesn't it seem like Dustin Chow, with Rachel Rollins, like realizing that this kind of stuff was going on and doing it herself, may have been like, all right, Levy, like, let's do it to Morrissey. We got this Reed woman, she's telling a good story. Like, let's get this guy. Let's let her leak the probe. You know what I mean? That's what I think and then to make it worse, I think they brought Turtle Boy in because Turtle Boy was going to get arrested for a felony wiretapping thing with a victim out of Rhode Island, unrelated to the Reed case in April of 2023. And Turtle Boy reached out. I think it was Natale who recommended Karen Reed talk to Turtle Boy. And Turtle Boy was like, listen, Karen Reed, I need help. Like, I'm going to get arrested. And Reed was like, hey, go talk to AJ. And Alan Jackson didn't get Kearney an attorney. Alan Jackson hooked Kearney up with the FBI. And that's why I think Kearney got hands-off treatment in the pretrial process until he took things too far. And even then, the FBI couldn't save him. So thank you for listening, letting me wrap all that up. But that's why I think John Levy's involvement in this is scary.
That's crazy. Yeah, a lot of these go back to personal, a lot of these that I found in, some of the innocence fraud cases I've looked at, they've gone back to personal one DA wants to embarrass or political ambitions because it's so popular to release a quote unquote innocent person. And I really think that there are people who think that, I don't know, that think that people who are locked up for 18 and 19 years, sometimes 60 years,
But why? If people want to know,
there's a ton of them that have a great case of innocence.
But if people want to know why, the why to me is the most interesting. Like, why can these innocence fraud projects work? A lot of them I can understand. And Roberta, you've done some great analysis. It's because of the desire to belong and stuff. But maybe you can answer this for me. Where did this come from? Where did someone have the ability to create this whole sort of, the feds will help me look into it? And I think the answer is because you just explained it very well. It just takes one person, like someone in charge of the public integrity unit. Go look up what that is. Look up how powerful that section of the DOJ is. One person with a grudge can move mountains. All right, thank you. Now I want to watch this.
But I think what you hit on is what's more important. What you hit on earlier in this conversation, you're talking about how people don't look into things; they only look at the surface things to have opinions. That's how all innocence fraud campaigns work. They only work on the surface, making something look like someone who's guilty look like someone who's innocent. So, how do you make something look like it? So one way to make it look like it is to make the cops look corrupt is to have investigations and to have the FBI looking into them. So to make it look like something, it doesn't have to be successful. It just has to look like something happened. And that really convinced a lot of people, even people really educated, have looked at a lot of true crime cases. And I think that, we can talk about this more, but I think that Karen Reed based her playbook on Johnny Depp, which is a civil case against Amber Heard with the same kind of feel, the same, Johnny Depp's lawyer was thrown off the case for intimidating witnesses and a whole PR bonanza. But I think, and having a zoo at the courthouse. Luckily, this judge did not allow the same kind of zoo that was allowed at Johnny Depp's trial. So there's a reason why there was a very different outcome in, say, England, if you read that judge's decision in England, and the civil case, why it was an inconsistent verdict and a bizarre verdict, and no one seemed to really be able to understand the testimony, and a lot of sort of untruths were spread in that case. So I think Karen Reed based her campaign on Johnny Depp's. That's what I think.
Yeah, and you want to know what's weird? That lawyer popped up, the Johnny Depp lawyer popped up on Court TV once in pink, and I was like, my brain was like, MFer, did you consult on this case? Don't make me come figure that out too. But anyway, I digress.
Oh, yes. And he got in with all these right-wing places. They got all these right-wing media outlets to absolutely, Amber Heard might be a horrible person, but it doesn't mean she deserved what happened to her. And Johnny Depp, you have to read the someday I'll go over it all again, but the ruling in England has a lot more information. It makes a lot more sense. And, she was just crucified. And they also did it with bots, which also Karen Reed uses. So, but it made it look like she was lying when, I mean, I come from this world. This has been going on, this kind of rumors around Johnny Depp since the 90s. This is not new.
Guess who's involved with an AI intelligence firm? I think I'm going to blow your mind right now.
Who?
Like that could do botting of that nature. Melanie Little.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right?
That's
makes
really
it all
interesting.
make sense. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so here's the great moment from today, the moment that dropped Grant Smith Ellis. If you're tuning in late, he's my guest. He's one of 10 journalists, 10, count them, at the Karen Reed trial. And this was the moment that really made his jaw drop in court today at the Karen Reed trial.
Good. If we're done with the videos, can we take it down, please?
Of course. Yes, I think we are finished. Thank you, Your Honor. You were the lead firefighter on that team that night, correct?
Lead paramedic.
Lead paramedic, thank you. You understood, obviously, the gravity of hearing a statement like, I hit him, some sort of an explanation about what may have happened to the victim, correct?
Correct.
That statement could potentially have direct relationship to, or a direct relational impact on how life-saving measures are done by the medical personnel that you turn the victim over to.
Correct.
You testified at the grand jury that you wanted, once you got to the hospital, you wanted to be as quote unquote helpful as possible when you handed over the patient, correct?
Correct.
You said you actually stayed at Good Samaritan for an additional 10 to 20 minutes, which is your habit in cases like this, because you wanted to be quote unquote an asset to the medical intervention team, correct? That team includes the doctors and nurses that were trying to provide life-saving services to Mr. Oakley.
Correct.
But you never relayed to a single doctor or a single nurse a single word about a woman who said, I hit him, did you?
So documentation for us ends at transfer of patient care. As far as my memory, I do remember relaying that information to the doctors and nurses.
You do?
Yes.
Have you ever testified about that ever previous to this?
Never been asked about that.
Oh, nobody ever asked you, so you didn't tell anybody?
In the court setting? No.
Testified in front of a grand jury, didn't you?
Yes.
So Molly asked you a bunch of questions.
Now he's pissed. He's like, how come I didn't know that? This is all just, he's angry because I didn't know it. Wait, you didn't tell anyone? You testified to it? No one asked you it? So like, I couldn't have that information? Me with a private investigator on staff, probably, most likely, never found that out.
Yeah, try like 5 of them at least.
This is so good. I love this witness. He's so he's so unaware of the body. He's like, I love, and you can see him thinking back. Like, look at his eyes. I just want to watch this again. I hope I don't go back too far. But watch his, oh wow, I just went way back, way back to way too far. But hold on one second. I have it.
No, it would have been back in the no, it would have been back. No, even further back.
I have the number. I have the number. Hold on one second, guys.
It was in the beginning of the day.
Yeah, wait. Hold on one second. Let me pull it up. Hold on.
Like over years.
Thank you, honey. My boyfriend's like, it's here, but I actually have the actual timestamp, so I'm just going to refer to it. Okay, I got it. Yeah, it is useful because I'm so bad at this, but let's watch it again. I just want to watch his eyes again. I think it's super interesting because he's searching. You can see him searching his memory in this. Okay, here it is. This is it again. I'm going to just watch it one more time. It's too delicious.
Good. If we're done with the videos, can we take it down, please?
Of course. Yes, I think we are finished. Thank you, Ma'am. You were the lead firefighter on that team that night, correct?
Lead paramedic.
Lead paramedic, thank you.
If Alan Jackson is listening at home, he's throwing things at his computer that we're playing this again. I think it's fascinating.
The gravity of hearing a statement like "I hit him," some sort of an explanation about what may have happened to the victim. Correct.
Correct.
That statement could potentially have.
Who is that in the black? Who is that Grant sitting next to Aaron with a beard? He's staring Alan Jackson down. Do you see him? Did I lose you?
I'm muted. I feel like, oh goodness, I've been introduced to this person, or at least I've seen them walking with the family and witnesses a lot, but I don't know their name, and I feel bad about that. But there's a lot of people to remember.
It's okay.
But that person has been to a lot. Yeah, he's very close to the family, and he's definitely grilling AJ. I didn't notice that until
look at the way he's just. You just lasers coming from his eyes. You can feel the contempt and the hatred towards Alan Jackson coming from his eyes.
A direct relationship to, or a direct relational impact on how life-saving measures are done by the medical personnel that you turn the victim over to.
Right.
You testified at the grand jury that you wanted, once you got to the hospital, you wanted to be as quote unquote helpful as possible when you handed over the patient, correct?
Sure.
You said you actually stayed at Good Samaritan for an additional 10 to 20 minutes, which is your habit in cases like this, because you wanted to be quote unquote an asset to the medical intervention team, correct? That team includes the doctors and nurses that were trying to provide life-saving services to Mr. Oakey.
Correct.
But you never relayed to a single doctor or a single nurse a single word about a woman who said, "I hit him," did you?
Documentation for us ends at transfer of patient care. As far as my memory, I do remember relaying that information to the doctors and nurses.
You do?
Yes.
Have you ever testified about that ever previous to this?
Never been asked about that.
Oh, nobody ever asked you, so you didn't tell anybody?
In the court setting? No.
Testified in front of a grand jury, didn't you? Yes. Lally asked you a bunch of questions. During the course of that conversation that was under oath, did you ever disclose that you told the doctors and the nurses that you heard a woman say, "I hit him"?
I recall telling the doctors and nurses that there's a question of that the patient was hit by a vehicle, or we don't know, is what I directly said to the doctors and nurses.
You directly told the doctors and nurses that there was a question about whether or not he was hit by a vehicle, right?
Yes.
Have you ever said that in any context, either to the police or in a grand jury before today?
I don't recall.
You were asked a bunch of questions yesterday, the day before yesterday, and this morning by Mr. Lally.
Yes.
Did you say it on your direct examination?
I wasn't asked that question.
So since Mr. Lally didn't ask you, you just left it out that you told the doctors, the medical professionals.
What is he talking about? Because you didn't go off on a narrative all of your own? Because you didn't stand up there and say, "This is what happened"? Forget the way trials are done.
But
Let me tell you what happened, guys. Hey, jury, I actually have a rap about it. Let me tell you.
But hold on, but I just want to point out that this is where AJ switches from a cross to a direct. And he's like, "Oh, you didn't say this on direct. Do you want to tell us more now?"
It's so bad. It's so bad. I've never seen anything like this. I mean, first, it's like you can see his ego is so bruised that he's just messed up in front of the entire world on one of the biggest cases. He's so vain, Alan Jackson. You know, this is what he's famous for, these devastating cross. And you set it up. You thought you wanted to be helpful. You wanted to help people. You actually wanted to share information and be helpful. Yeah, I did. And I love Anthony Flamati. What a hero. What a hero. He just kept his, no one asked me. I'm not a snitch. I just, I told the people who needed to know. I answered the questions I was asked in court. What do you want? What do you want? It's your problem, Alan Jackson. It's really Lally's I don't know. Maybe.
No, it's not even a problem. It's more someone
I
put
mean,
it in the chat. They were like,
right.
Yanetti's got to get up there and say objection. He is leading. Murder by maestro said it.
I know. I mean, I'm just trying to say who you could blame for this information not getting out. I mean, who would he just assumed that he didn't tell him, and then he just went up there with a really devastating cross to rip him to shreds. This hero firefighter. Oh.
His plan was to His plan was to rip him to shreds on this guy being like, oh yeah, so I just remembered, now that you're asking me, like I didn't put it in my report because I had dropped the body off, but of course I went to the doctor and nurses. I was like, he had trauma, and the woman said she hit him. I think she hit him with her car. I was like, oh, how did the witness know? How did he know to do that? How is he that smart? It was the greatest thing I've ever seen. I just could not believe it happened.
This is so incredible. You just don't expect these kind of moments with these.
You described that this patient was likely hit by a car.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Hold on. Go back. Hold on. Can we go? Can we play that
there,
back?
Alan Jackson? Get out of there. It's a sinking ship. You bought your ticket to the Titanic. Get out. Don't go.
Can we go back and listen? That was the first time that Lally objected. So just watch. Lally lets him bury himself, and then when AJ tries to recover, Lally objects and gets it sustained.
Oh gosh, I hope I'm not going back too far. Okay, hold on.
Documentation for us ends at transfer of patient care. As far as my memory, I do remember relaying that information to the doctors and nurses.
You do?
Yes.
Have you ever testified about that?
I've never been asked about that.
Oh, nobody ever asked you, so you didn't tell anybody?
In the court setting? No.
Testified in front of a grand jury, didn't you?
Yes.
Shalali asked you a bunch of questions. During the course of that conversation that was under oath, did you ever disclose that you told the doctors and the nurses that you heard a woman say, I hit him?
I recall telling the doctors and nurses that there's a question of that the patient was hit by a vehicle or we don't know, is what I directly said to the doctors and nurses.
You directly told the doctors and nurses that there was a question about whether or not he was hit by a vehicle, right?
Yes.
Have you ever said that in any context, either to the police or in a grand jury before today?
I don't recall.
You were asked a bunch of questions yesterday, the day before yesterday, and this morning by Mr. Lally.
Yes.
Did you say it on your direct examination?
I wasn't asked that question.
So since Mr. Lally didn't ask you, you just left it out that you told the doctors, the medical professionals, that in fact you described that this patient was likely hit by a car.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
You wrote a report as well, correct?
Yes.
We talked a little bit about that report. There's an area in the report for a narrative.
Yes.
About your observations, your experiences with this patient, correct?
Correct.
Your job as a lead paramedic is to be as detailed as possible, correct?
Correct.
You want to provide and impart the most detail you possibly can about an incident to assist in medical intervention, correct?
Correct.
Take a look at page 3 of 5 of your report.
Yes.
You see that narrative area?
I do.
Can you point to that portion of your report where you indicate that my client said the words, I hit him?
It doesn't say that.
Can you point to your report, the portion of your report where you indicate that you told the doctors and nurses that she said, I hit him?
Doesn't say that.
Can you point to that portion of your report where you indicate that your concern for the patient was that he had been hit by a car?
Doesn't say that.
You indicated on direct examination that you were, quote unquote, looking for anything that we could pass on to the emergency room that would assist?
Yes.
I think it might have been an assistance to the emergency room personnel to indicate that you believe this person had been hit by a car.
Objection.
Sustained.
Do you believe that that would have been an important piece of information?
Why is he belaboring this point? It's like he got this examination in his head and he can't listen.
Yep. And he
all right. I think, I mean, this is just a sinking ship. He can't get off.
That's the thing.
And he
He's too
keeps saying
prideful to
over and
get
over
off.
again, yeah, he's too proud. He's like, I'm going to make this work. I'm going to keep hammering. And this guy, what a sweet face, you know? It doesn't look good when you beat up on hero firefighters. It doesn't look good, Alan Jackson. You look like a sleazebag. Talk about backfiring. Oh my!
The whole thing
Jen
started.
McCabe better be being, you know, I don't know, trafficking orphans or something. I don't know what. I don't know if anything could be more I don't know if that would even help at this point.
No, nothing.
How do you get out of this?
Nothing will help, because what's happened is, and it just happened there, AJ has demonstrated to the jury that he has a tell when something really bad comes up. He freaks out. He just loses it. And that was not a cross. That was, I'm sorry, that was a direct. At a certain, the witness was better prepared than AJ. The witness was more in command of like the way examinations work. And if that's what this trial is going to be like, it's just going to be brutal for the defense. And I must say that AJ, the one thing that he is not good for is thinking on his feet. He's really good when he knows what he wants to accomplish. He's really bad when something unexpected happens, and especially when he doesn't have a way out. When he realized, I saw him realizing in that moment, he was like, oh, this was never in the evidentiary record. Oh, it was because it was after the guy finished his report because the body was dropped off. Oh, I really shouldn't have asked him what he said to the doctors and nurses. Oh, no, I'm down this path already. I have to poke holes in it. Oh, no, I can't poke holes in it. Like, you could see him. And then he was just like, okay, I give up. And the cross ended.
Wow. Let's look at, there's a request to look at Turtle Boy. The two of us totally forgot about Turtle Boy getting intimidated. He was intimidated by a witness. Let's see if we can find this together on my Twitter. Hold on, guys. Let me get out of this and go to his Twitter. Thanks for being patient.
So I'm told this person themselves is a witness. We need the actual video.
I guess it's yeah. All right. Gonna pin the, of course a fundraiser is pinned.
No, I'm sure we can find a video from someone that's not. Yeah. So there's probably a video from someone that's not Kearney. So, there's a video. So let's take a look.
Okay. All right. We have to take a look.
You
all right.
just said Karen Reed did it, right? You were walking away and you had something to say.
You got to fucking film me?
Well, I'm just curious. You just told me Karen Reed did it.
You got to film me?
I mean, you just told me she did it, right? All I wanted to know was, why did Caitlin Albert change her story from leaving at 12:15 to 1:45?
Nobody wants you to get the fuck out, man.
I'm just asking. You confronted me. You confronted me.
I'm from here. You're not. I'm not. You can get the fuck out of here.
Pause.
No, wait. He's got the accent. He's got the accent. He's definitely from here.
But I can give you context. I believe he's talking to, so they're probably in Southie right now. I think he's talking to Meredith O'Neill because she lives in Southie and Aiden lives with her sometimes.
Who's Meredith O'Neill?
It's his friend. Miss O'Neill is, I think she's done some things that I don't like, but I wouldn't say I have any reason to dislike her. And I think this man's dangerous, Kearney. So but the point is, so for context, Kearney is standing next to a woman to his left off camera that you can't see I believe. That guy is talking to the woman being like, and she's telling him, hey, get out of here. And he's like, I'm from Southie, kid. And she's being like, I'm from Southie too, bro. And so that's the conversation they're having now.
But where's her accent? Where's her fabulous accent?
Was Caitlin in that?
Yeah. Why is he fucking recording me?
Was Caitlin in the house when they murdered?
Oh, now you can hear a little bit.
John?
Stop. What the fuck are you doing?
Was Caitlin in the house when they murdered John?
Calling the cops.
All right, let's get him down here. Let's talk.
Such a fucking pussy. You really are.
How am I a pussy?
Why are you filming me, dude?
So I'm just curious. Why did she change her story? Why did Caitlin change her story from leaving from 12:15 to 1:45? I'm just curious. I mean, I was gonna walk away, and then you had to say the thing about Karen did it.
I asked you a question. That's all I asked.
No, but you walked away. And you said,
I said no.
Well,
cameras.
then you had the smart.
Hey, I got a 5'2" man.
5'2". He's got jokes. He's got jokes. Why aren't?
Is Turtle Boy that short? Is he really 5'2"? Is he like that short?
Well, so yeah, so I'm like 6'2" or something, and I probably have like 8 inches on him, so he's like 5'8" or so.
Okay, he's like, I'm a 5'2" guy here. Okay.
Oh, I didn't hear that, but totally.
He's with a totally straight face.
Aren't you on the Canton?
Okay, that's what.
Why aren't you on the Canton PD list anymore?
You know, I usually don't like these kind of personal digs, but when it's Aiden Kearney with what he's done, I can't. I can't with him. I can't. It's done. It's been, you know, once you're harassing the victim's family, what he's done to his victims, oh, forget it. Forget it.
Well, so hold on, pause. One thing. Hold on, pause. It's possible that Meredith might just live in Southie and might not be from there. Here's the problem with that. If this gentleman, I think I know this gentleman's name. I think he has a relationship to the Reed case. From what I understand, he's a good guy. And let me see. So I think this person is actually from Southie. Like this person and their family are from Southie. And that is like, if Aiden just messed with the community of South Boston without realizing it, especially if you put like Meredith. Aiden, you're an actual idiot. You're like, you just do stupid things sometimes, and I don't think you realize what you're actually doing. And I think this man is a witness in the Reed case or related to the Reed case. So what Aiden's doing is like tormenting this man's wife or something. And this guy's clearly coming up and being like, get the F out of here. And Aiden's now coming to try to doorstop him. But the thing is, like, Aiden's got like ongoing investigations into all this stuff, and this guy's like calling the police, basically telling him like, hey, this guy's like a witness intimidating me. So Aiden's an idiot.
Yeah, he's so bad at this. Like, he's such a he leaves all this evidence of him breaking the law. He's the worst criminal.
Oh, so he's a pause for one sec. He's the boyfriend of someone's daughter. So a witness's daughter's boyfriend. So he's a family member of a witness, which is covered under. Aiden, you are a goddamn moron. Pardon me. You know what MGL 268.13b says. Literally, I've read that statute hundreds of times. It covers family. Ugh. You're an idiot.
Even though he's a boyfriend, he's not really really related. That's still family.
I think that it becomes a witness. It's not good for Aiden.
Okay.
But I'm just curious. Why'd you pick her up at 145?
Yeah, I'm at the beach.
And what'd you tell you? Why'd you say Karen did it?
5'2".
How come? Why are the dog bites on?
Saying 5'2" again.
Oh, so I'm hearing him. So anyway, yes, let's continue.
I'm sorry. It's my favorite part when he says 5'2" in the total.
John, do you know where Chloe is by any chance? Don't you live in Easton? I thought you lived in Easton. And don't you drive a car that's very similar to a Ford Edge that was seen parked outside 34 Fairview Road.
The other thing I heard is that Aiden Kearney cried when he was in jail, and he had to be put in a special, not in general, like a special protected cell because he was so scared. He cried in the back of the police car. Is that true?
I did hear that. And I'm also hearing this guy might be a witness in the Reed case. I'm trying to confirm this. So then forget the family thing. This guy himself might be a witness in the Reed case. But anyway, let's get back to the video.
3 a.m. No? Yeah. No? I mean, I'm just curious.
No, I don't. No.
You're really calling the police right now?
Yeah.
And telling them what?
They tell them there's a small, strange man harassing me.
I mean, I'm just asking you questions. You came up to me, dude.
Yeah,
I didn't even recognize you. You had to tell me who you were. I didn't even recognize you. You were Tristan Morris.
I told you. I told you to put the cameras away.
And I said no.
I came up to you. I said no cameras.
And then I agreed to it. But then you said the smart aleck comment when you walked away about.
Make a smart fucking.
You said Karen Reed did. I didn't say anything. I just asked you a
Fucking
question.
maggot.
What'd you say?
You're a fucking maggot. You're a maggot.
Not really. I mean, but I mean, I'm just curious.
You're a maggot.
How am I? How am I a maggot?
You're a fucking maggot.
How so?
You're like you don't punch your fucking head in the.
Really? Like you guys did to John? You guys like punching people. I know you like punching people.
Get the fuck away from me.
I mean, are you gonna do what? Are you gonna do what you guys did to John O'Keefe? How you murdered him?
Get the fuck away from me.
I mean, I'm just curious.
Get the fuck away from me.
Are you gonna punch me? You said you're gonna punch me.
Oh, he's on the witness list. Pause, please.
Punching.
Oh my God, he's on the witness list. This guy, murdered by Maestro, is saying this man himself is on the witness list. So forget. There you go. How is this not witness intimidation? Someone want to explain that?
Yeah, no. Yep. He should get another charge. They should add on, and it's not good for the charges he already has. Ay.
Why does everything have to be so confrontational with the McAlberts? I mean, you want to punch me? You can punch me.
Why would I do that?
I mean, you're on the phone talking to the police, and you're threatening to punch me.
Pause.
Wait, hold on.
Oh my God!
That's what you call people who tell the cops the truth, right?
Sorry,
I'm sorry to jump in. He just called him a rat. He's saying that he knows he's a federal informant. Can you rewind that last 10 seconds?
Sure.
That is a crazy. You don't understand. You can't be known as that. Not in that neighborhood.
Okay.
And you want to punch me? You can punch me.
Why would I do that?
I mean, you're on the phone talking to the police, and you're threatening to punch me. I'm a rat. Yeah, you guys don't like it when people rat, right? When people tell the truth. That's what you call people who tell the cops the truth, right? Rat. I'm a rat. That's what you guys call people who tell the cops the truth, right? A rat.
The fuck out of here.
But seriously, I mean, you came up to me and wanted to talk to me. So.
Yeah, I said off camera.
Yeah, and I agreed, and I was respectful to you. And then you walk away and you go, Karen Reed, and then you go, Karen Reed did it, by the way. Karen Reed didn't do it. Karen Reed's a completely innocent woman.
With the camera on.
I'm not tough at all. I'm just a reporter asking questions. I'm just a reporter asking questions.
You're a fucking maggot.
I mean, so why doesn't John have any injuries below his nose?
Oh, the how come, the why come defense. Why come John doesn't have any injuries here? Because we're going to have someone explain exactly why. We're not accident reconstructionist medical specialists here. How come? Why come it didn't happen like that, guys? Oh, so annoying. And so for someone in the conspiracy mindset, and the conspiracy mindset's like really important to any innocence fraud campaign, they will see this video and talk about Alan Jackson testifying. Basically, Turtle Boy, Aidan Kearney's telling you how to view this, to telling him that his reaction is not of a frustrated witness in a criminal trial. It's someone who knows someone is innocent, is hiding out, and doesn't like Aidan Kearney because he's telling the truth. See how it's and they'll use this video as proof. It's crazy. You have anything to say about it?
No, I don't think they'll use this video proof of that. I think this is his last hurrah. He had to know this guy was on the witness list, and Aiden's really desperate right now because he is alienated from Karen. Apparently, he's alienated from a lot of even probably his own supporters. So he was like, all right, I need to do, this is the playbook that worked for me. I got to do it. He thinks he's untouchable. And listen, if he's a federal CI, in some sense, they can protect him. And I don't doubt that they're putting a lot of fucking, sorry to cuss, but I think this is a war between the DOJ and the Norfolk District Attorney's Office. And I think Aiden's playing both sides off each other. And I can't believe so here's the thing. Let me go on a slight digression, because what that guy's really saying is not that Aiden's ratting and giving truthful information. What that guy's saying is that Aiden's pulling like a Whitey or like a Stephen Fleming, where like he's ratting, but he's a criminal. So he's like giving fake information to cover up his own crimes. Like that's what Whitey was doing with John Conley. And you know who was like the U.S. attorney, and you know why the U.S. attorney was buying into it, ironically, in this like weird twist of fate. Because the U.S. attorney in the 90s hated the then Norfolk County District Attorney William Delahunt, who the courthouse is actually named after, interestingly enough. And because of that, the U.S. attorney was willing to go along with the BS that John Conley was writing at the behest of Bolger. And if you read Black Mass by Dick Layer, that's very, very, very obvious. By the way, I don't think it's any coincidence, now that I think about it, that when I was 10 years old, I was reading Black Mass before school in 6th grade. And I went to Dick Layer's house because his kid was in my class. And I was like, Dick Layer, I have been reading your book. Will you sign this for me? I swear to God, I was 10. He looked at me like he was horrified. And then I think he was like, wait a minute. I think this kid actually managed to read that and understand what it was about. And then he was like, I'm going to sign this for you. And then he did. And I have it somewhere. So my point
but don't you think that somebody on the Free Karen Read would look at this video and say, oh, that would be you don't think that this would give them energy?
No, and the real thing that most of those Free Karen Read people are going to be thinking is exactly what I'm thinking, because they're too close to this to not think it, which is why anyone who knows Aiden Kearney is going to rack their brain to think, what the hell would the feds want from this man? But the thing is, I have studied this human I hate it, but I've had to come to understand the pathology of this human to figure out what's going on. I think Aiden Kearney is helping the feds with either the January 6th probe related to Super Happy Fun America and all those groups in their orbit, or he has information on NSC 131. And I think the feds find that very, very useful because this is an election year. And I think if you look at the posturing by the Attorney General in New Hampshire, and then Andrea Campbell, we're talking state level in Massachusetts, you're getting a lot of fed up state level, like governmental officials with this NSC 131 and January 6th bullshit. And so the feds are going to move on it. The question is just how. And I think Aiden Kearney is peripheral, and Aiden Kearney has files on everyone. He's like a mini Jeffrey Epstein. And so, in my opinion, and so therefore, I have good reason to believe that too. And in that regard, what I think the feds did were like, oh, like fuck, like at least he's not murdering people. Sorry for cussing. At least he's not murdering people. Like Karen, they got involved with Karen Read. So, but the point is, the feds were probably like, listen, this guy has a lot of useful dossiers on people that we can use to make election year prosecutions. Forget the Karen Read stuff. So therefore we'll run him as an informant. And also he's useful to us because we're trying to get back at Morrissey, and we'll throw Karen Read a bone and let this idiot go out there being Turtle Boy and cause problems. But now you have this, if you're looking at the chessboard, right? Zygmunt Brzezinski's grand chessboard theory type thing. Then you got the U.S. Attorney's Office, who's now in an untenable position and has completely washed their hands at this. You have Karen Read, who's had to wash her hands of Turtle Boy because he's now like subject to a litany of allegations and has done horrible things. And then you got Turtle Boy, who's completely alienated and has blackmail on all of these people. Who is the person that's going to get fucking burned in that equation? Turtle Boy. The question is when, not if.
Okay. Be interesting. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what comes of this video, huh?
And why did Caitlin tell police she left at 12:15 if she really left at 1:45? Why did she do that? I don't get it.
Shut the camera off.
I mean, are you protecting Brian? Who did it? Who killed John?
All right, dude. Come on.
You know, come on. I know you know. I know you know.
Your little bit.
You think
I get your little bit. He's like, I get your bit. Listen, 5'2" guy.
You don't think John O'Keefe's family deserves justice?
Wants you over here, dude.
I mean, I want to know, do you think John O'Keefe's family deserves justice?
Wants you over here. Get the fuck out of
Do you think John O'Keefe's family deserves justice? Yes or no? Do they?
Yeah.
Do you think Karen Read should go to jail for a crime that your girlfriend's family committed?
Your girlfriend's family. Now it's getting really broad.
I mean, were you in the house that night? Were you in the house that night when John was murdered? Because I'm just curious. You were with them at the waterfall bar.
Thank you.
He started
Thank
talking to me. He started talking to me.
Thank you. Nobody wants me. Nobody wants
His family killed his.
Oh, those nice old ladies. Those hero old ladies.
Yes.
Like,
Let's go with that.
yeah.
Let's go with nice old ladies. Yes. Okay. Let's keep going with the video.
Why, do you know them?
No. Let's just we're not going to get into Southie culture. Let's just keep going with the video, please.
Are they not? They're like, get out of here. I'm like, good. Yeah. Listen to the old ladies. Why would they beat you up in Southie, the old ladies?
Girlfriend's family murdered Officer John O'Keefe, and I'm just wondering why. I mean, he came up to me. I didn't seek him out. I didn't even recognize him. But anyway, Tristan, we're gonna head out of here, buddy. Good luck with the police.
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
Okay. Real nice language.
Oh boy, yeah, the language in that video. Woo!
All right.
All right.
Yeah, he should definitely know that he made some people upset. So let's see. Hold on. Let me speak to my let me see what I can come to understand about what's going on. This is happening in real time. Okay. Oh, so you want to know who the ladies in that video are?
Yeah.
They're nuns.
Oh, yeah.
So that was nice of Aiden to confront
nice.
a group of nuns. That was nice of him.
That's what I was saying. Hero nuns, a bunch of hero nuns. Man. That what a absolute low life.
So here's the thing. He is staying with this woman in Southie. And I think just to analyze this, like, let's speak very broadly, right? About hypothetically, in general, what that wonderful neighborhood is like, which I happen to find quite endearing, and I have visited from time to time, and I'm very glad that people have been nice to me. So wonderful. And let's just say, hypothetically, back in the 80s, you would go to a bar, right? And then you'd sit in the bar, and then this thing would come around in the bar, and it would be like, oh, are you going to put money in the jar to support the cause? And like, you better put money in that. I was not alive for this. I'm speaking hypothetically. You better put money in that goddamn jar. It's going to be a problem. Southie is a wonderful place. People who are not welcome in Southie should not be there. It's an insular community that protects its own, and going into Southie and doing something like that is quite possibly the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen anyone from Massachusetts do. Because you have to know what you have to know. Like, it's impossible not to know. So it's just, he's an idiot. I'm not going to say anything more than that.
Well, isn't Southie the area from Goodwill Hunting? Isn't that where they're from in Goodwill Hunting? Weren't they from Southie?
Yeah, and people like to people are like, oh, Southie's different.
March too, right?
Yeah,
from
and
people from New York who don't know, like me.
Well, sure, but it's also like people are like, oh, Southie's different. It's like, yeah, Quincy's different, okay, Dedham's different, like everything's different, but the same families. Massachusetts is this very small place. The bar is small, the towns are small, the cities are small. Everybody knows everybody, and every community, even though it is subject to demographic shift and like obviously was subject to very predatory and racist redlining. And we have very defined, entrenched, rooted, established communities, and they're very insular, and it's the way it works. And you don't go into a place like that and act like that. My God, like I can feel the Schadenfreude from here through the screen. It's not embarrassing. It's dangerous to his freedom.
Yeah, what a absolute low life.
Oh, someone asked if it was a cop being recorded. No, it was a witness in the Karen Reed case.
Wow. Let me record myself as I intimidate a witness and harass him. I mean, does he understand what harassment is? Or he doesn't care? I guess he doesn't care, right?
I think, no, I think, remember what my analysis, sorry, I was going through it quickly. I think it's that Turtle Boy is part of this equation that he doesn't understand. And I hope sometimes he listens to me, and I don't think he does, but I hope he can just understand the concept of this world. Like, he is not in charge of the world he's involved with. He is the one being played. Someone said he was being milked for information. Yes, that's what they're doing to him. And yes, he has some protection as a result of it. But unless you really understand the intelligence community, and I intentionally am very delicate about how I talk about this, and I'm sure the U.S. Attorney's Office appreciates it, and I'm sure everybody involved appreciates it. I don't even use the last names most of the time of the FBI agents and things like that, because I have an extreme deference to the national security interest of the United States. But nothing about any of this convinces me that Karen Read, her familial connections, Turtle Boy, or any of this nonsense that he's doing is in any way relevant to the national security interests of the United States. I think it's our very high-level governmental officials engaged in petty political nonsense. I see it all the time, as you were talking about, and it makes me very concerned that it somehow happened in the context of a murder case where it's very obvious to even someone who does a surface-level perfunctory review of the factual record that Karen Read did it. So the question is, why? Why would Josh Levy? And the answer is, well, listen, I think the FBI plays ball with murderers all the time. I think there's a demonstrated track record of them being like, all right, you're useful to us, so we'll play ball with you a little bit. What was the end game here? I don't know. A dismissal? Like, they were clearly not moving forward with federal charges about the Reed case. Maybe they're something about the Sandra Birchmore thing might, that might have some legs. But the point is, what was the end game? What was the end game of Levy getting involved with Karen Read? Anyone who can answer that question can put all this together. And frankly, unless I can talk to Josh Levy, which I will never do, I do not know how I'm going to get that answer.
You know what's interesting? I just want to show what you know what is really funny though is that you were going to come on for 10 to 20 minutes.
Well,
now we're at hour 2:30. But I just have one more quick clip because I just want your reaction with this lawyer who's talking about this harassment campaign here. Hold on one second.
Search.
John O'Keefe forward a little bit. Move past my Unity. Okay, here to this though. To this, I think this is.
We're indoors and we fed them, folks. Nick Rocco, Karen Reed's supporter and runs that Facebook page. And we've got Joseph Krowski Jr., incredible criminal defense attorney from Mera. You've seen his work on Court TV, by the way.
Thank you. And I didn't eat, by the way.
Oh, you didn't?
I did not eat.
Oh.
Looking for that summer weight.
They told me they fed you. Right. Okay, we'll feed you afterwards. We'll see how it goes, though. Nick, why is Jennifer McCabe the villain, right? I mean, this is the way Karen Reed supporters see her, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, let's start.
Actually, this isn't the clip I thought it was, but this is also a really good question. Why is where are they going to go with this Jennifer McCabe thing? I mean, I just don't understand how they're going to go anywhere with it on the defense. I mean, she could be the worst person in the world. Karen Reed has already admitted this like 57 million times. Yeah, I feel really bad for her too. I don't understand how this is going to even come together. Where is it going to go? It's like an idea, and that seemed to be Yanetti's opening. It sounded good until you really tried to follow it. It was just like a mishmash of bizarreness, like a bizarre conspiracy theory. So I don't even know how they're going to make this work.
When she left 34 Fairview Road that morning, she went home, Google searched at 2:27 a.m., horse long to dying cold. 2 minutes after the butt dials happened between Brian Albert and Brian Higgins, when everybody was supposedly sleeping, she's been up all night long. Karen calls her, where's John? They go looking for her, okay? They end up back at 34 Fairview Road.
Right, and they're married to this 237 thing, which is clearly an open browser and not a search that didn't happen until 6:23, 6:24, and 6:27. So what are they going to do with that?
Nothing.
And nothing. Convicted, they're still going to be talking about it, you know?
Oh, no, I think they're
going to be talking about it. Yeah.
Oh no, can't you see though? Like if you, and I said this to Nick in the hallway of the courtroom today, and I tweeted about it. I was like, Nick, you are good on TV. Like this is gonna end in like 6 weeks, and like you are good on TV. Like forget like you found, you know what I mean? And I wouldn't say I like this guy. Nick Rocco and I are on cordial terms. Like we pass each other. We've passed each other for months. So like sometimes we talk, and he's like, Grant, like what's going on? My point is, what's going to happen is somehow out of all of this, people will develop careers and, futures and whatever. Nick Rocco will go on and do like some show or whatever, and he'll have his career, and he'll be like, oh yeah, like remember that time like we all like met through the Karen Reed thing, that was crazy. And then he'll be like, here's some info, you know what I mean? And that's what will happen. It will birth like this whole sort of group of people who like came out of this. And I don't think that that's a comment on their character per se. It really depends on what they did during these moments. So like, is Nick Rocco going out there and like ruining Jen McCabe's life right now? No. Like, is this stuff stupid and does it make no sense? No, but it's like gentle PR. Was there a time when they were doing some really like messed up stuff? Yeah. Does that mean that Nick Rocco is directly involved in it? I hope not. You know what I mean? But one thing I'll tell you is they said Nick Rocco runs that Facebook group. No. I have very good reason to believe that Karen Reed runs those Facebook groups. I think Nick Rocco just helps her. Nick's never said this, but I have very good reason to believe that Nick and Karen communicate. I don't think anyone would deny that because Nick was in the courtroom with his wife and Karen's family today. So he was literally within her family party. So.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure she started this. I mean, it had to start small somewhere, right? And then she needed help. And yeah, that's
it became a money. It became an industry. And I think that's what I think people are starting to understand it now. She created an industry around herself. It was crazy how it happened. I mean, it was very predatory, but then she realized like, okay, I have a real brand here. What can the brand do? Well, the brand could only do so much. It couldn't really like go out there and like be like, okay, we're going to like sell shirts. Like they could fundraise, if I'm putting myself in their brain, I'd be thinking, oh, we can fundraise, but we can't really like monetize this. That would be, what's the word? Gaudy, even for them. That wouldn't work. It would backfire. So if I'm them, I'm thinking, okay, so how do you leverage this movement that she's built? Okay, well, you can use it to like, maybe like do a spin-off documentary, like rights deals. Okay, so you can get some people working on that. Okay, what about if we like get a lot of donations? Couldn't we build up like a PR team, have them working on stuff like maybe a stupid taillight project, quote unquote? I heard you say that, Sean. Couldn't we have other people brought in to do kind of the more dirty, like you might call it wet work in the mob, but like the dirty stuff? I think you know who you are, counselor, and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, you all are very dumb. You all may have governmental connections, but like even the government is looking at you all like you have disgraced this like very sacred thing, right? Which is like the public perception, right? And so now Karen Reed, and this is really the vibe you get. You want to bring it back to today. The vibe you get is that all the people Karen Reed thought she was going to be in her corner have abandoned her. And the only thing she's got left are a few people willing to go on TV and say nonsensical things that most people realize are completely debunked.
Yeah. It's really interesting. We got to talk sometime off the air about all the, I'd love to pick your brain on everything you know about this and tell you a few things I know about some other campaigns that, had high connections and stuff. It's interesting. It's interesting that like people, will go to bat for really, people do horrible, horrible things.
Where Jennifer McCabe calls 911. When you end up hearing
for killers, I'll say it, for killers, for murderers. And they seem to have a kind of power of their own, like they do very little and they get people to do a lot of things for them. It's really interesting. Almost every campaign that I talk about is like that. Like they all have flying monkeys that do a lot of things for them. They do very little.
That's how Manson got Shannon Tate. It's a common playbook that people, I think what's really happening is people like that just hide better in plain sight. But anyway, we can come back to that after this clip.
In this 911 call, she is very calm and collected. She does not state that a Boston police officer who was her friend was found on the lawn of her sister. She says a man is dead on the lawn when she calls 911. When she hangs up that phone, she calls her sister, who was inside that house at 34 Fairview Road. That call was answered for 9 seconds. It was not a voicemail. That was picked up. They were alerted inside that house that there was something going on in that lawn. And when the police officers arrived, you can see the demeanor of Karen Reed. She was frantic. She's screaming and crying. She found her boyfriend dead on the lawn. Jennifer McCabe, Carrie Roberts, very calm, talking to the police, giving them their story.
But we're also not talking about a crucial thing, is that people love this story. It's very American. We love freedom in this country, and anytime anyone's freedom is threatened, that is even labeled, it's like a magic word, innocence, blanketed over them, it becomes extremely popular. And
do you think if she was, do you think
we'll always be attracted to that, because it's always a powerful, it's always a popular position. Look at the Central Park Five. That was done just surely for political reasons, to free them. They didn't just attack Trisha Mellow. They attacked many people in the park that night. And now we're supposed to believe one person did that, attacked all those people, and nobody who dealt with Trisha Mellow said who cared for her in the hospital, meaning the doctors and nurses, thought one person did it. There's not one expert who can say one person did that alone. And 4 out of the 5 confessed, and then all the periphery people. So, it just sounds good. It sounds like something, and then you just attach.
It's a good headline.
Right. Like a good, then the reason gets to be some social thing like racism or sexism or anti-Americanism, but in this one, it really doesn't have kind of a political cause to Karen Reed, except hating the police.
No, it was coming. It was coming. What people didn't realize was it was coming. They were gonna. I think the defense's last bombshell was going to be the text where one of the police officers calls her a bad word. But a few things happened because it was going to be a sexism thing, in my opinion. But what their team didn't realize, and why it didn't end up working, is Turtle Boy is like a virulent sexist. And not only that, but Karen Reed used the same word as the trooper in some text messages that obviously I have. And Karen Reed supporters, especially the Glare and stuff like that, have used that same word. So I think their plan was to build it around she was targeted because she was a outsider and a woman, but it never got there. And now they're stuck with whatever this is. They're not stuck. They don't have anything. They're not. It's not that they're stuck with something. They never had anything to begin with. So I don't really know what their plan was for trial. I think they just made it up at the last minute.
None of these campaigns do. They're all, one is more ridiculous than the next. I can't tell you. I get a little nervous sometimes talking about these campaigns, because I think they've been so wrongly reported that I think people, I worry sometimes people think, really? That's not what I've read almost everywhere, but that's how they do it. They get almost every single media outlet to just put out their their side of the story. It's really kind of amazing. It's a really exercise in mass mind control.
Before, they're not concerned about John on the lawn. And then after that, Karen gets sectioned. What do? They go home. Jennifer McCabe deletes all of her phone calls from that morning. That's not a coincidence. You don't just delete. Why delete a 911 call out of your call log if you have nothing to hide? You deleted every phone call out of there because they didn't want it to be found.
Joseph, is she the villain in the case? Like in cases that I've covered through the years, the defense.
I see the question.
I'm sorry, Grant. What do you think about the Riza wants to know, what do you think about the importance of Carrie Roberts' testimony?
Yes, they are an excellent commentator, so I'm happy to take the question. Well, I'm happy to take any questions. I think that testimony is going to be, I'd say top 10. So I think, I don't know if folks understand, there's a lot of witnesses. We are going to be here for a while. There's like 84 on one list and 77 on the other. Some of them overlap. So we're going to be here for a while. Carrie Roberts, I think, will have the most devastating information about Karen's evolving story, but it won't. Carrie Roberts' testimony in isolation wouldn't make as much sense because you have to tie it to John's niece who was at the home. So just so folks understand the timeline very quickly, Karen allegedly hits John. Karen and John pull up to 34 Fairview around 12:24 a.m. in the morning. Karen and John are outside the home until apparently like 12:31 or so a.m. And then that's when John's step data shows him walking like to where his body was found and then not moving anymore. So that's when Karen apparently backed up, hit him, and left. Around 12:45 a.m., there's the voicemails that Karen calls and leaves for John's phone, text to apparently saying, I effing hate you, you're a pervert, blah, 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 so insulting him, degrading him. So it shows that there was a fight going on when she dropped him off. Now, jump forward to about 5 a.m. By the way, 17 ring videos conveniently at John O'Keefe's house between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. when Karen Reed would have arrived home and God knows what between 1 and 5 a.m. were deleted, probably by Karen Reed and William Reed later in the day, which probably makes him an accessory after the fact, but we'll talk about that some other time. But anyway, so at 5 a.m. or 4:58 a.m., Karen Reed gets up and runs into John O'Keefe's niece's room and says, oh, can you call Jen McCabe for me? I don't have her number. And the niece is like, what the hell is going on? And Karen's like, oh, I last saw John at the bar and I was having stomach problems, so I left and went home. The niece is like, what the hell? And then Karen calls Jen McCabe, and Jen must have told her on the phone or something, or Carrie told her on the phone, oh, we saw your car outside Fairview and then you drove away. Because then Karen's like, switches her story in front of the niece on the phone and says, oh, Jen or Carrie, one of the two, I actually left John at Fairview and then I drove away. And then when Karen gets in the car, I think it might have been with Jen and Carrie, Karen says, oh, she's now like panicking. She starts saying, oh, and we were having a fight. And then Karen has a complete mental breakdown. But this is just after 6 or so in the morning. So again, only an hour has elapsed between when Jen McCabe gets the first phone call around 4:58 a.m. and when Karen, Jen, and Carrie are in Jen's car driving back to Fairview because Karen has driven to them, right, to ask to be driven to Fairview, which is itself weird. And then all of a sudden, Karen starts saying she hit him and that it was her fault and she has a mental breakdown. Now, what really is going to be devastating is that I think Carrie and Jen are going to be able to, with John's niece's testimony and the cell phone evidence from Karen's cell phone, show that what happened was Karen had some idea that she killed John when she was on the initial phone call at 4:58, but she hadn't gone back to Fairview Road to confirm it. She had waited 4 hours. I think she was just hoping John was going to wake up. God knows what those fucking 4 hours were like. They're probably horrifying. And then what Karen had to do though was, remember, her taillight's cracked. She knows it's cracked. And this is one important part that Carrie or Jen will probably testify to as well. Karen leaves one video on John O'Keefe's ring. What is it? It's the video right around 5 a.m. of Karen leaving the house, where Karen seemingly backs up in a way that makes it look like she could have bumped into John's car, which she clearly didn't, and then drives away. This was because Karen then went to Jen or Carrie and was like, oh, I backed into John's car and broke my tail light. Why? Because Karen was driving a car with a broken tail light. Like, this woman was in real time constructing this thing. And so Jen and Carrie are the people that, for whatever reason, maybe Karen didn't like them. She wanted to set him up. Like, maybe she had this plan from the beginning, but she calls him and she's like, all right, I'm going to bring you two, right? I need you two to come help me look for John. In reality, what Karen was doing was buying time to go back to the scene to confirm John was dead. And then she went to Jen and Carrie's. And at that point, everything played out where Jen and Carrie drive her back to the scene, conveniently for Karen, not in the murder weapon. And then Karen, you see what I mean? Karen really did think this through. This woman is a fucking mastermind. And so Jen and Carrie get back to the scene with her, and Jen and Carrie therefore can tell you that series of events, I believe, because I know what the evidentiary record shows in the pretrial motions from 4:58 a.m. I mean, they'll be able to tell stuff about the night before too and whatnot, but from 4:58 a.m. through whatever it was, 6 whatever, when Karen and them get to the scene, and then John's body is picked up by the EMTs. That's going to be explosive. Absolutely explosive. And I don't think people realize how bad it is for Karen if that evolving story, not to mention the 4 evolving stories, but going from John O'Keefe's house to Fairview Road and then going to Jen and Carrie's and not telling them and then having them bring her back. The only explanation is she saw the body. And Jen and Carrie are going to be able to testify that her demeanor must have changed from on that phone call where she had an idea it was possible to when she got in that car when she knew he was dead. And that if people are wondering, like, who would go back to the scene and start screaming, and admit to it. I don't believe that was her plan. I think Karen lost control of herself. That's why I say constantly she has low emotional intelligence and high analytical intelligence. She had this all planned out, but the problem is when she got to the scene, she blew it. She didn't just blow her lines. She was just like, her consciousness was just spilled out of her. It was like John was like coming through her soul and was like, you're going to fucking tell these people that you did it because you're a fucking monster. And that's almost what it was like. She just couldn't stop herself. She tried to go play the, like, I'm the distraught girlfriend, but she ended up like not playing anything. She ended up showing her hand and being like, I'm clearly the girlfriend that killed this man, and I know I did it, and I'm here with you now. So that's kind of what Jen and Carrie, I think, are going to testify to. So just get ready for that.
Wow. So, I mean, and all these uninterested parties want to frame Karen Read. Do you know what I mean? That's the other thing that's so effective about all these people saying, and they're also consistent, saying Karen Read said she did it. I did this. I hit him. It's my fault, taking the blame, and all consistent and all a little different, all a little different, but all consistent. Actually, not all a little different. Sometimes they also, there's a bunch of people who heard her say the same exact thing. She said, I hit him over and over again. Do you think it was an act? Because, seems like there's evidence she knew he was gone and collected her friends to discover. This was a discovery mission, not a life-saving mission.
No, I think that was the cover. I think I don't think anyone was looking for John or believed Karen was looking for John for more than a few minutes. I think in the very beginning, like when Karen was calling them, they were like, okay, yeah, we got it. She's really worried. She doesn't know where John is. He hasn't come home. They probably were also thinking like these two have been fighting. Like they might've even known she was cheating on John with Higgins. And then they're like, okay, what's going on? And then where I think it gets, very dicey for Karen is I think when Karen gets in that car, because she's already gone to Fairview Road, right? And then gone to Jen and Carrie. I think Karen at that point was giving off vibes and basically saying like she did it. And then like, yeah, Karen was saying we got to find John, but Carrie and I don't know what they're going to testify to, but Carrie and Jen were probably like, find John. Like you are having a mental breakdown and pretty much telling us that like you like may have done it. And then when they get to the scene, you got to remember when they pull up to Fairview Road, Jen and Carrie are going to testify that Karen screamed that she saw John's body before they got past the tree line in a blizzard. And even if DY wants to argue that at like 10:50 that night, the night before, it was some like light snow. No, at 6 a.m. when Carrie, Jen, and Karen Read got back to that scene, it was a blizzard. And the jury knows it was a blizzard. There is no way Karen Read saw that body. So you know what I mean? Like this is all going to, every single thing that Carrie and Jen testified to is just going to reinforce. I can already see what Lally's doing. He's painting this picture of the scene for the jury so that when he brings them back to when Karen and Jen and Carrie first arrive, they're gonna realize that Karen it's crazy what the public's gonna get with this trial. They're gonna realize that Karen had literally started like a confession, even though she had planned to go back to the scene and fake being like this distraught girlfriend. She couldn't keep it together, even though she set the whole plan up. And that's why it's so hard to understand what happened here, because Karen Reed, it doesn't make any sense if even if you understand the linear flow of events, it doesn't make any sense unless you know her pathology. You have to know her as a person, and you have to know like how her lies, like what happens when a liar who has built up a bunch of lies has a breakdown. Well, that's what you saw in that moment. And the problem is she couldn't keep it together because she was drunk. It was 5 a.m. She was clearly under extreme stress. The adrenaline, if it was pumping from earlier, might not have still been pumping as much. And she, I think, on that car ride and when she got to the scene, simply lost her mask or whatever they call it.
Yeah, she seems like to not like humiliation. That's what I got. I mean, that's what I picked up, that this is getting humiliating for her, this trial, and that it's not so fun anymore being in the public spotlight. She feels the public shame, because I was in the law and crime chat, and that is usually the most defendant friendly chat. And more than half the people there were saying she's guilty. Okay. All right. I think I'm starting to, because I'm old and don't have your youth, I'm starting to get a little tired here. Sunny Day, Grant, can the prosecution obtain Ring account activity from John O'Keefe's account to trace who deleted the videos? Thanks, Sunny.
Yeah, I don't know. Makes you also wonder, like, what Ring videos went to John's phone? Were those saved separately than the ones in the cloud or maybe the system? How does all that work? I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'll be there. I got to get up again at whatever it is, ungodly hour 3. I was there at 5 a.m. this morning or something, and I was number 5 in line. I'm convinced people are just sleeping there. People thought I was sleeping at the courthouse. I am not. I go very early.
So how can people support your work, and where can they find you?
Oh, please take a look at me on social media. Apparently, so I didn't understand. So I get a lot of views on Twitter, and I thought like getting like 15 million views every like 3 months was a lot. But then today I was telling like some of the anchors, I was like, oh, I get like 18 million views every 3 months, like pretty consistently. And they were just like, what? What are you talking about? So anyway, please take a look at my Twitter, because I think it's doing well right now. So that's Grant Smith Ellis. Instagram, same thing. I don't post as often there, but you'll get a lot of cannabis content. Same thing with Facebook. If you want to support me, though, which is very kind, I have this Buy Me a Coffee, which is Grant Smith Ellis. Or if you want to help me with court expenses or gas or food, I have a Cash App, which is just Grant Smith Ellis. And I do try to respond to all of your donations with a heart, but you can message me on Instagram or Twitter, or you can't message me on Twitter unless I follow you. But if you donate and send me a message on somewhere, I'll try to find it and also say thank you. So I'm very grateful. And Roberta, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. There's all of Grant's links in the description of this video. Please hit the thumbs up, guys. I know I'm a terrible self-promoter, but please hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, share this episode. If you're listening at all or familiar with Apple Podcasts, please leave me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Support my work on Patreon, working on a new episode for Patreon. Or you can support me at Buy Me a Coffee, Venmo. All the links are in the description of this episode. Thanks so much for listening, guys, for this mega long, and thank you very much to Grant. And I really have to recommend his Twitter if you're watching the Karen Reed trial. It is, when Grant's in the courthouse, it's a great addition to follow along. He live tweets with Karen Reed, with the Karen Reed trial, and he sees a lot of things that you will miss watching at home. So have a great night, everybody. Thank you, Grant. All right.